life. Do you feel pride for a job well done after tackling a late night in the shop? Do you enjoy time spent with friends and family in the great outdoors? Spanning over 3 decades, one name has taken the lead for supplying the best powersport parts, accessories, and apparel to fuel your passion. One name that knows it goes beyond getting you the best prices, quickest shipping, or largest selection. One name that builds and innovates for our industry. One name that teaches, helps, and supports our fellow riders, racers, and organizations.
We handle your races, your jumps, and your trails. Isn't it time you give your daily driver the same love? Amsoil Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard. Amsoil also offers a full family of ATV, UTV lubricants, giving you above and beyond fortification for your weekday and weekend vehicles. Amsoil, devoted to protection.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best. The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood.
That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
For those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association, racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now. Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. The all-new from the ground up 2019 Yamaha YZ250F is available at LoJack Cycle Sales, alongside the all-new YZ65 and YZ85, and refined YZ450F. So stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why.
I think any advice I would give a younger girl or boy coming up in racing that wants to become a professional athlete and a professional racer is to just don't give up. You know, things get hard and it's easy to give up on things, but I think one thing that I kind of hold true to myself is I don't give up on things. If it's something I want, I work hard for it. So just don't be afraid to work hard and push for the things that you want in racing or in anything.
The Amsoil GNCC series on RacerTV is brought to you in part by Amsoil, the first in synthetics, Rocky Mountain ATVMC, get ready, and Monster Energy, unleash the beast.
Number 12. How's that? 2018 Amsoil GNCC season. Well into the nitty-gritty now. Getting to it. Round number 12. Can you believe that, my friends? Only, well, most folks only one race left. But for the pro guys, the 3-hour race, they got 2 left. They're off and rolling. And here we go. There is the XC1 start we've been anticipating. So now we'll take a look at this. This is not live. This is a replay of that XC1 start, and we'll talk you through it. All the XC1 guys down there: Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall, Josh Strang, Stu Baylor, ready to roll. And waiting on that signal from Ricky Towery. Rodney Tomlin's on the mic down there. Wrong guy. Ricky Towery waiting on the signal. They got it, and they're off and rolling. And check this out in the XC1. Who it was a tight one. Looked like, there we go. Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall bumping back and forth. Caleb gets out in front of Thad. Thad goes down, takes a nasty spill, gets right back up. He was able to get the bike up and going and get back out there. But, boy, that's going to make for a long day for Thad Duvall. That is a tough break there right at the hole shot, man. All the guys off and into the woods here at Powerline Park. We shift gears and get back to the XC2 start. And you see there's Thad. There you go. Now he's off and rolling. So good shot at Thad Duvall right there. But, boy, look at the amount of time that he's going to have to make up. And here's the XC2 start here at Powerline Park, looking at a replay of that for you guys. It was a good one as well. This is if you thought the last one was good, this one's great. So the XC2 guys make their way around. It looks like Mike Wachowski's going to take it, and he almost does, but the ruling they had, it was Ben Kelly actually inching him out for the hole shot in the XC2. So great start for Ben Kelly, and big shout out there to Mike Wachowski being right there with them. And, yeah, so we should see some big things out of, obviously, Ben Kelly today, as well as Mike Wachowski there, second going into the woods right there. So Mike with a great start to this, what's that say, keep out. Mike Wachowski off to a great start. Now we've got the FMF XC3, the 125 Pro-Am class. Our 4 riders there off and rolling. And rolling is Zach Nolan, who takes, how about, you like how I did that? Zach Nolan taking the whole shot clean right there in the FMF XC3. That is big. Zach Nolan coming off, I believe, a 3rd place finish at the Mason-Dixon just a couple weeks ago. So Zach Nolan first into the woods as well. What a start for that young man. We'll see how it sorts out. And now we're going to take a look at, I believe, there we go, track map coming up here. So there you go, track map. We got about a 13-mile course today here at Powerline Park. If you folks have raced out here before, you know it's a little different this year. A large chunk of the track that we used to run is now a cow pasture, so we don't have access to it. But here you go. Here's the 13-mile course. You can see the FMF PowerPoint as well as the Monster Mile. We can tell you firsthand, it may not be a whole mile, but my God, it feels like it. It's usually one of the toughest parts of the track. And right there, the white dots, those are our camera shots we've got today. So those are the different mile markers or the spots we'll have cameras at. You'll be able to see all the live coverage here on Racer TV. And the black box, that's our drone coverage. So anywhere the black box is, that's where a drone can go. And so there you go. That's the layout for today's track here at St. Clairsville, Ohio for Powerline Park. And coming into it, we got some inside scoop from some of the top riders in the XC1, XC2, and XC3. See what they had to say coming into this weekend.
And I'm pretty happy with it. Track looks good. I walked a lot of it yesterday, and I'm pretty happy with it. You know, expected it to be hard pack and slick, but there's actually a lot of parts where it's pretty soft and should be tacky. So looking forward to it. And yeah, the cold weather definitely not my favorite. Used to it from being in New England, but yeah, just ready to go. Get out there and try to get another win in the XC2 class.
Yeah, I mean, this place is known to be really slick, and we got a little bit of rain Friday or Saturday. Yeah, Friday night, I guess. But no, it was looking pretty good up until then, and it got really slick for the quads yesterday, and they polished it off real nice, like normal for this place. But yeah, here and there it looks really good, like nice and tacky right here in the pits and stuff, and there's a lot of areas in the woods, but this place is always notoriously just deceivingly slick. So, you know, I can't say it's my favorite place by any means, but, you know, I've had great results here in the past, and we're looking to get out there today and put it up on the box and get this championship done.
Yeah, you know, last year I missed this race due to injury, and it was pretty wet and nasty, so hopefully the rain holds off, or it's going to be wet and nasty for sure. The track's already pretty gnarly, really slick, and it's pretty wet in spots, so we've had a pretty wet, I guess it'd be half of the end of summer to fall. So yeah, there's water everywhere. It's super ruddy, and the creek jump looks pretty gnarly. So a little nervous about today for some reason. Just yeah, I don't know. I felt like this is another hometown race for me, even closer than the West Virginia round. So I feel like there's a lot of people here and cheering me on and expecting me to win. So yeah, just go out and do what I did last race. Hopefully just a little less stress. I kept crashing the first couple laps and just couldn't really get going. So hopefully a little better weekend today, and yeah, get the win at the end of the day. And you know, there's yeah, there's rumors going around that, you know, that some people might be hurt, but yeah, just try to go out and do my job and win, and hopefully go on to Indiana and hopefully win another one. So we'll see how this day goes, and yeah, go from there.
Well, there you go, guys. Getting the word from Ben Kelly, Caleb Russell, and Thad Duvall right there. Off and rolling. Is this... I couldn't tell if that was the end of the XC1 Thad. Thad might be on the move, or if that was Josh Strang. But it had to be Josh Strang all right there. So the XC1 guys working their way through, and you heard there the words of Ben Kelly and Caleb Russell. Those two guys focused in on trying to ramp up a 2018 championship. A little ways away yet. There is, I believe that's Josh Toth right there. My screen's right in the sun. I can't quite see and make everybody out, but Josh Toth doing work out there. And here we go. How about that drone shot? This is what we were talking about, guys. So coming in here to St. Clairsville, again, the XC1 guys out here. Also, don't forget to check us out. Live tweeting today is going to be Wheels of Racer TV, or of Racer X, rather. So follow Wheels on Twitter for all these live updates. And, whoa, Caleb getting a wee bit squirrely right there. Right back on it and back into the woods. So these XC1 guys all pretty tight in their group together pretty closely. This is one of the things we saw on the ATV side of things yesterday with the course being a little different than years past. It's presented, I believe, was that Lane Michael? I didn't quite see the back of the jersey, but not a huge Pascal Rockenecker. Not a huge area for these guys to make a lot of passes. A lot of the big open field sections we had in the past, no longer here. So it's important for yesterday, the guys, to get a good start. And today it's so far looking to be a lot of the same stuff here at Powerline Park. Round number 12, are you kidding me? Right down into what Rodney has been calling it all day long, the silly season. This is where you got guys that are fighting for championships. If they're not doing that, maybe they're trying to jockey for a better number next year. Maybe they're trying to impress sponsors or get themselves a ride for next year. So a lot of guys out there really mixing things up. Saw Pascal Rockenecker. He moved up to the XC1. So he's rolling up in there this weekend as well. He did that last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, rather, at the Mason-Dixon. And these guys should be approaching that finish line here in a moment. So we'll be able to get a better idea of how close these guys are to get us started. Ripping through there is Stu. Hard on the throttle. So I believe this is right before, that might be right before the last woods section where by the finish. There you go. How about it? There we go. Now we can get Stu Baylor, the 514 KTM, first one in, and boy, trying to pull away quick. We saw this exact same thing from Stu Baylor just a couple weeks ago at the Mason-Dixon. How about it? Stu Baylor, can he keep it up for a 3-hour race, though? That's the big question. That is, okay, so it's Lane Michael, the 523 Husqvarna, hard on that throttle here. In the number 2 spot out of that XC1. This is, boy, that's been the best showing Lane Michaels had all season long. Thad Duvall, the 989, checks in the number 3 spot. How about that? Good Lord. Ricky Russell in the number 4 spot. Rough and Rowdy, the 212 machine, in 4th. Caleb back in the number 5 spot, checking in right there. Caleb dropped back to dead last, you're telling me. Got stuck. All right, Rodney Tomlin just jumped in the booth. He said Caleb went down, got stuck, worked his way to the back of the pack, so that explains that. Jordan Ashburn in the number 8 spot. Trevor Bollinger is in 9th. Josh Strang in the number 10 position. That was Pascal Rockenecker, the number 117 in 11th. Grant Baylor is checked in. He is in 12th. Andrew DeLong in the number 13 spot. Corey Buttrick rounds out your top 14 riders who have all checked in so far. Ben Kelly and Josh Toth, 1 and 2 right now out of the XC2, 1 and 2 in the overall with the time adjustment, Johnny.
I got to tell you, Mikey, I got sucked into it, man. I went out there after the start, and I was like, oh, I got enough time to get back to the booth, and I was waiting for him on the backside of the track, expecting to see what I had last seen was Caleb Russell getting a hole shot, and then next thing I know, I see Stu Baylor come by, chasing him. In second place is Lane Michael, and I'm like, what's going on out here? At that time, Caleb was all the way back in about 8th when I saw him. I think now he's up to 5th.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken, but nonetheless, just what the drama you got going on here with the championship on the line, and these guys, just pushing so hard on this first lap. It's crazy to see how things are shaking up like this that early. And as you said, Ben Kelly, Josh Toth, 1 and 2 OA, and 1-2 in that XC2 class. I got to tell you, when they came through, they were shredding. And not only was it crazy how far up into the XC1 class they are, but they have completely dropped the rest of the XC2 class.
Oh, that's for certain. What's wild about that, I mean, Ben Kelly finished out. He was, 3rd in the overall just a couple weeks ago. He got a taste of that overall podium. He's looking for it. His teammate, and may as well be doppelganger, Josh Toth, is like, you know what, man, I want a piece of that action too. So impressive stuff.
Mikey, I got to tell you, this is odd that we see this. I mean, Ben Kelly charging this hard this early. Normally it's Toth setting the pace, Kelly having to come from behind later in the race. A few times this year we've seen him match his pace early, but I think this is the first time we've ever seen Ben Kelly doing the leading, doing the pushing, and being the one that's pushing them up through that XC1 class.
It's unbelievable, man. And how about Stu Baylor? He's out in front in the XC1, and physically he came through first in that finish line, seeing some of the same things we saw from Stu a couple weeks ago. But boy, to me, Lane Michael standing out, the 523 Husqvarna. He's out there riding like he's wanting to make a name for himself and cap off this 2018 season with a bang.
Absolutely. And another rider that we just saw on screen there in that bright helmet, Mike Witkowski, currently 3rd in that XC2 Pro Lights class. And he is just on a mission, it looks like, here early. Unfortunately, Ben Kelly and Josh Toth have set sail, but Witkowski back there in that 15th place overall position and 3rd in XC2 Pro Lights. He's a rider that, we got to watch in conditions like this. He puts that 2-stroke to work. And, Mikey, you being from Indiana, that's where that boy's from. He knows how to ride the mud.
That's exactly right. I wanted to give Mike a huge shout-out. We made the mistake last week. We thought he was Johnny Gerard. We thought he was the other Johnny G. No, that was Mike Witkowski. So we got that sorted out. He's out here. He's in 3rd place now, and, boy, he's got his work cut out for him, though. behind him is Evan Smith in that XC2 class. 23 seconds back on him. Ricky Russell in the top 10 right now, running in 6th in that overall. He's right behind Thad Duvall by about, what, did I see 3 seconds? Yeah, only 3 seconds difference, and then he's got Caleb right behind him. So good to see Ricky Russell moving up into the front of the pack.
You know, and I think right now the rider on the move, obviously, is Caleb Russell, because as I said, when I had first seen him, he was 8th and a good ways back. Now he's up to 5th and has actually caught physically basically Ricky Russell and Thad Duvall. It seems like there's only, what, 4 seconds separating Caleb and Thad, and that's kind of what Caleb needs to be able to do today. When we talk championship, he knows the points gap. He knows what he needs to do. If he can keep Thad Duvall in sight, that's all he needs to do, unless there's more than 4 riders between them. So there we go. We've got Stu Baylor through on the creek jump there. You can see him making that one look easy. Opened up a little bit of a gap, but Lane Michael really hanging tough. Can't say enough about the local boy here. He might be from, well, near there, Fairmount. And there is Thad Duvall now in the 3rd place spot. So it looks like he has opened things up a little bit over what was Ricky Russell. Now it's the other Russell. Caleb Russell into the 4th place spot. And those guys are starting to close up the gap on the leaders.
Well, Johnny, we're seeing the creek jump here, and this was, I feel like last season, it's getting a little sketchy. Last season, I feel like you guys could have just kept the cameras right here, and we could have just watched this all day. It was ridiculously entertaining, as you see a little bit there. Johnny, what can you rode the track yesterday out there in the ATVs. What can these guys expect out of this Powerline park that's different than what we've had here in years past? You
know what? There's a lot of traction here today. Normally it's just super slick, and today there's actually a little bit of tack, and yesterday there was as well. One thing you've got to look at, as these guys are coming through, you may not notice, but Mikey, look at that creek jump. They've cut it down completely. Yeah. What did have a huge ramp and shot you way up in the air is now nearly flat. So it makes this jump safer, I guess you would say, because it's not launching you up high and dropping you into that soft stuff. Last year we had guys just flipping over the handlebars and everything. But it's harder because now you have to carry your speed. You can't just rely on that pop you're getting from that lip. It's really going to make that creek jump. Those guys made it look somewhat easy, but we did see it look like Josh Toth nearly went down on it. Yeah. So I could see when the amateurs get here, it's going to be very interesting.
It's fun to watch, to say the least.
Yesterday, as kind of we went on, that creek jump, I wouldn't say it deteriorated. It's always got that one soft spot. But for us, I kind of knew it was there. I think most of the other guys did. So we were just jumping to a small hard island short of where it gets real soft, and then we could just kind of hop over it from there. But I did hear a couple guys almost went over the bars, and when they tried to go, you know who that is? That's Mikey Wachowski. We were just talking about him. He's there in the 3rd place spot in that XC2 Pro Lights class on that factory beta machine, and followed closely by, I believe that might be Evan Smith there. Oh, no, that's Craig DeLong. So DeLong now up in. He's gotten around Evan Smith, and he's now up into the 4th place spot in that XC2 Pro Lights class. There is Austin Lee, the 1, 2, 3, another Indiana boy. Mike, these are all local guys for you.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. I looked to see some big things out of Austin Lee. Had a chance to talk with him earlier this week, and he's one of those guys that he's like, man, I don't really have a ride next year. So I've got to come out these last 2 rounds. I got to come out swinging. He's like, I haven't really done as much this season as I wanted to, or haven't done as well as I wanted to. He's like, so I got to take these last 2 rounds and really make a statement for myself and get myself a ride. So Austin Lee, hard on the charge here. That put him, what, in the number 4 spot? Oh!
They cut out it just. We might have had a crash there, or very near. He was up over the handlebars just when the feed a little bit paused there on our end. I don't know, you folks at home may have gotten to see exactly how that one panned out. That looks to be Zach Hayes there. We got some fans, some loyal RacerTV fans down here. They're saying, hi, Mom. And look at them. They're standing in the water. They don't care. They just want to see this creek jump action.
You guys missed the belly flop guy. That was right when we came back from commercial. They were showing, we did the screen-in-screen, and this big dude just jumped and did a belly flop right in it. No shirt, naturally. It was beautiful. It's good to see him.
Absolutely. Just a thing of beauty. True GNCC fans right there.
Right.
Taking Mud Fleece into the new millennium, right?
That's right.
This drone footage is great here. In the past, we've relied on trying to have a feed down there, which we do today as well, but this is great because you can really see the scope of it. I mean, you're coming down that hill, you're on that power line, and then it's just this natural, bustling creek through there, and we've decided we don't want to go through it anymore. We're going to jump over it. We might
Oh.
See, and it's just easy if you do it over there, but you just got to splash down the crowd. But, eventually, we will get our first creek jump fail. It won't be long, and it's always entertaining to watch. Everybody hops up, but it's more challenging than it looks. These guys, are making it look fairly easy, but again, as we get back through the ranks and into our B and other amateur classes, these are actually 3 guys. That was Jesse Ansley right there.
Let's take a look at that FMF XC3 as they checked in last time. It was Jesse Ansley out front. Zach Nolan, man, with the hole shot this morning or this afternoon. That was pretty impressive.
There he is on screen, Zach Nolan.
There you go. Speaking of the devil, he coming off that 3rd place finish just a couple weeks back at the Mason-Dixon. Alex Teagarden right where he was last week in the number 2 spot. When they came around the finish, there was about a second's difference. It looked to me like there's a lot more now.
Yeah, it does look like Jesse Ansley has opened that up a little bit there. Oh, we got one down.
There we go. And that wasn't Cody Barnes, was it? No.
No, that looks to be...
Uh-oh. This is where the trouble really starts.
Yeah, I can't see the number there. It looks to be one of the amateur riders, though, possibly an XC3 rider.
Don't just fist pump. Get out there and help him, Mudfleece. You got a job to do.
See just how sloppy that is.
Yeah.
Once it digs in. Now the worst part is he's trying to keep his gloves, but if he gets his gloves muddy, it's going to be hard for him to hang on to that machine. And now look at how muddy he is. I mean, he's not even going to be able to stick to the seat on that thing. He'll just slide all over the place. Like it's crazy. When you get wet and muddy like that, it just throws you way off your game.
I think those are some of the same guys down there yesterday. I saw a picture on Instagram of them with the rope out there. It's not a bad idea.
I think those guys come every year and they have a grappling hook attached to the end of that thing.
Well, as we talk about the XC3 guys working over this creek jump here, we're going to take a look at the point standings and the XC3. That's our track map. We'll get it up there in a second. And, oh, yeah, that's a good jump.
Yeah, you can see they're starting to go off to the side there.
Yeah, so here we go. FMF XC3, the 125 Pro-Am class. Jesse Ansley in the driver's seat right now. I think he's almost pretty much got her whipped for 2018. Alex Teagarden, though, one heck of a season from that man. He is in the number 2 spot. Jason Raines suffered, I believe it was a collarbone injury. Did not race Mason-Dixon. He's not here with us today. Although I did want to give a big shout-out to his daughter, Preston Raines. Wrapped up the championship in the girls class youth and moved up to the YXC1 front row today, so that was pretty cool. Cody Barnes in the number 4 spot. Jason Langenbach is in the number 5 spot, and you see the rest there. Ryan Lojack in 6th, Hunter Shelton 7th, Colin Keegan 8th, 9th place Christopher Vendetti, and Jacob Rowland rounding out your top 10 there. But yeah, really those top 4 guys early on in the season, it was anybody's game at that point. But Jesse Ansley's slowly starting to pull away from those folks.
Yeah, he's really done well this year with consistency. I mean, even in the races where he didn't win, I think he was always second and might have had one third place finish very early in the season. So it's been consistency that's allowed him to kind of stretch the gap, and as you said, getting close to possibly putting the wraps on that one today if he has a good day.
Our screen is frozen, but you see what's going on down there.
We got the rope and the grappling
chaos.
Hey, that's these guys, like you said, they got it all figured out. They're able to get in there and they throw the grappling hook. They hook onto something on the bike or something on the quad.
Oh, there we go.
Down. Oh,
2 in a row.
Oh man,
not
folks,
one but
this
2.
This is where it's getting wild. Good thing we got this drone footage. Now look at this guy in the back here. He's in big trouble. You can see his bike steaming, and his back end has dropped off the ledge. That's the worst thing that can happen there. Is once you get that far back, you're just in the slop, and you can see how much more time they both went down. But he lost easily another 10 seconds because his back fell off the ledge there into the deep water.
This is unbelievable. I'm excited to be here because last year this was the one round my wife and I had to leave early for, and we were on the road. And I'm not going to say I watched the show while I drove, but
while your wife drove.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Wifey Waynes drove. I sat in the passenger seat and drove. Boom, my mom might be listening, so I don't want to call myself out too much, but I'm sitting there, I'm just losing my mind watching this creek jump, listening to you guys. It was something else. So I'm glad I'm here in person this year.
We got
There's another one down.
Oh, my goodness. They're just dropping like flies.
Yep.
Oh,
there's another one. We're getting into those B classes now, I think.
Yep, we're starting to get back into the latter A classes and B classes. Oh, man, you can see, look, we got guys laying everywhere, folks. And this is what makes this mud jump so difficult. But here's the other thing that I don't know, maybe we haven't talked about yet. the reason why these guys are jumping this, it's a long way around.
Yes.
And you've got to crawl your way through the ditch. I mean, it's easily 35, 40 seconds to go around this first.
I was going to say, you can see at the top of your screen, the top left, you can see them taking that alternate route, and then they come out right there at the top right of your screen in through the woods. So you can see, Johnny, yeah, you're right. It's a huge delay. It is well worth the risk to take that creek jump, and it's easy for me to say that as I sit here in an announcing booth.
Yeah, I mean, that's our job. We got to analyze. And here we see this is the way around. Now, you have to go all the way down. There's about 10 different places where you can come through. Now, when you see them leaving the screen here to the right, they're not back on the track. They still have to backtrack the other way about 100 yards. So, again, I mean, it's every bit of 35 seconds to go around that creek jump versus over it. So, I mean, it's worth the risk. I mean, you can virtually go the short way, jump the creek, crash, pick your bike up, go, and still be further ahead.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a look at some of the amateur classes as these guys are working their way through there. The Open A class saw Evan Earl leading the way there. He's got an 18-second lead over, I got your text, Wheels. Full top 10. All right, full top 10 out of the Open A there. Wheels sending me a text. Check him out on Twitter. He's going to be keeping us updated all day. Evan Earl leading the way again out of the Open A class. Bryce Coster is in the number 2 spot with Tyler Soriano in the number 3 position. The 370 KTM of Landon Bruner is in the number 4 spot. The 521 of Cope Beckert is in 5th. The 43 of Ben Parsons in the number 6 position. Look to see him maybe work his way up a little bit. Jason Liscombe is in the number 7 position with Zach Klamfoth in 8th. Josh Kellogg in the number 9 spot, and Eric Geis rounding out your top 10 riders in the Open A class. Let me take a look at the 250As. Simon Johnson leading the way there. Pretty tight one right here. A 5-second lead over the 444. Joe Bowden, who's in the number 2 spot. The 59 of Dakota DeVore is in 3rd with Brewer Colley in 4th. Matthew Kiefer in the number 5 position. In 6th place is the 33 of Chase Hayes. Reese Bruner is in 7th with Owen Geis in 8th place, and Paul Petrin in the number 9 spot. Nathan Rector rounding out your top 10. Your 200A class now is more of our riders. Well, that don't look much easier.
No,
Johnny.
See, and that's just it. You got maybe 10 bikes have gone through that, and look how 8 out it is, and it's not going to get any better.
Wow.
He's going to get a little help from this guy, and he's going to get lucky because he's going to get out. But if you pan back that camera there in about 5 more minutes, they're going to be lined up 4 wide.
Oh, for sure. Well, the Open A class, I did that one. I must have skipped something. It's sketchy. The 200A class, that's what I was looking for. How about this? The 199 is Zachary Davidson. He got that whole shot in the 200A, and he is rolling. But right behind him, this, boys, takes me back to last season. Mike Beeler Jr. right behind him by a second. Watch these guys duke it out all year last year. Joe Marsh is in the number 3 spot. Ryder LeBlond is in 4th. Derek Mabe is in 5th. Just outside of the top 5, Travis Renard in the number 6 spot. Dylan Zimpel is in 7th. Sean Myers in 8th. And Trey Centrino rounds out your top 9 in the 200A class. Your 4-stroke A lights. Brody Johnson in the number 1 spot right now. He's got a pretty good lead, about 1 minute and 9 seconds over the 56 KTM out of Millville, New Jersey of Johnny Manera. Bolton Beroth is in 3rd. Brendan Poling in the number 4 spot. Michael Delosa is in 5th with Tanner Cowart in the number 6 position. The number 76 of Justin Murphy's in 7th with Nathan Davis in 8th. 9th place is the 139 Yamaha of Eli Childers. And 10th place is the 255 of Russell Smith. Take a look at our junior AB class, your 25 plus. 9 riders checked in so far. The number 62 of Andrew Boggs on the Yamaha out in front. Because these are leaders.
No, it is not. I'm watching the screen.
Okay, I trust you. You know better than I do. Nick Millinger is in the number 2 spot. Nolan Seifer is in 3rd with Dustin Ulrich in the number 4 position with Tyler Brunton in 5th. And just outside of the top 5, the 426 of Joseph McCarty. 7th place is the 159 of Devin Burks. Jesse Kidlow is in 8th place, and 9th place is Casey Belt.
We got some action here. These guys are going around.
Oh,
and we can see, Well, he's not that bad off. Where he's at, it's pretty firm. And I thought we were going to have a little more action there. You can see guys turning around and kind of making their own way through. Well, the worst thing you can do here is pick a run. He made it through, but barely.
It's the world we live in now. Nobody wants to help. Everybody wants to have their phone out and get the footage.
Absolutely.
Is TMZ buying this stuff? I don't know what's going on here.
Need it for my Twitter feed,
That's
bro.
right. The Vet A 30+, Andrew Matusik. I got to look at it, sound it out in my head. Andrew Matusik is in the #1 spot. Sam Forrester's in second. Nathan Ellering is in third. Tom Truxell. I think you've got to have a difficult last name to run Vet A 30+ here. Jared Hoffman, there's one I can say for my simple mind. He's in fifth. Adam Froman is in sixth. Billy Zavidini. Dude, that's a tough one. What's your guess, Johnny? Bill, all right, Bill is the 831 KTM out of PA. Bill, you're doing great, man. 7th place. Louis Olean. I'm telling you, all these names in the Vet A are tough. Louis Olean is in 8th place.
Oh, there's our leaders on screen.
Now we got leaders.
And that actually, we must have missed a first few coming through there while we were trying to decipher those names, because that was Ben Kelly. Now around Lane Michael, and I can't tell who that's Josh Strang there in front of Lane Michael. So Lane has dropped back. There we see, that was Trevor Bollinger, the 739, and there is Josh Toth.
Is it? Right, yeah.
Ben Kelly we know is up into.
Yeah.
That is Grant Baylor. That's going to be tough today. The Baylor boys looking more and more like each other every race, it seems. They've got the same gear, same helmet, same handguard setup, but that was Grant Baylor that did just come through. Stu Baylor had already come through. We're assuming still out front or in a battle with Thad Duvall. We know Lane Michael has dropped back. He was in that 2nd place spot. Now being back to what we did have, he was physically ahead of Jordan Ashburn, so we think he might be all the way back as far as 6th or 7th place in that overall as they came through here. This is about the 7.5, almost 8 mile marker, or just after the 8 here as they work their way through. Corey Buttrick, the #121 machine, local Ohio boy, good home track for him, and this is actually the ride where he kind of had his renaissance a few years ago. Was really having a rough season, came back and backed up a couple of top 10s in a row, and actually was running top 3 here for a long time. I believe that was the 2016 Powerline Park. So Corey B can definitely ride this place. He knows the dirt, and looking to put in a good strong ride today.
That'd be a good one for him. He's had some ups and downs all season. Well, our leader right now, the 5:30 with the adjusted time, the leader, the 5:30 of Ben Kelly on the KTM. He's leading this one, and we actually had a chance to catch up with Ben Kelly coming into today's race.
That was pretty wild. That was actually my first overall podium. Had a few 4th places, so was close throughout the year. But yeah, it felt really good to get on the overall podium and even finish the race 3rd physically and pass a lot of the top XC1 guys. So yeah, that's just the bonus, focusing on the XC2 class and getting a win there. But hopefully by the end of the race, I'll be in contention, for another top 5 or even top 3. I'm thinking I'll be staying XC2 next year. So yeah, hopefully we finish out the year strong, and I'll have another strong year next year. I think it'll once you get on the bike, you'll get warmed up and it won't be too bad. But yeah, last 3 years really haven't done much snow riding. Not a big fan of the cold. So last few years I've been fortunate enough to travel south during the winter to Florida and do a lot of riding and training down there. So yeah.
Well, there you go. Heard it from Ben Kelly himself. He's going to stick around in the XC2 next year, and there's probably a lot of folks out there that are like, oh, man, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been he's put in a really great ride this whole season, and even pushing it to that next level today physically, up into the top 5 physically, and leading this on corrected time, the complete overall, as well as our XC2 Pro Lights class. And, Mikey, it's interesting because just a few races ago, Ben Kelly was a guy that, would have been just absolutely pumped with a top 5. After having that top 3, he wants another one, and he's starting to think, well, maybe I could win one of these things, And to get to that point, but still be humble enough in his interview of just saying, I just want to go out there, have a good ride, finish up near the front. Maybe if I could get a top 5, that'd be cool. And just kind of poo-pooing the idea of a podium or a win. And that just shows the kind of, the character of him. He's a real solid guy, very humble, and he's worked so hard this year. Man, is it paying off for him in big ways.
There you
and speaking
go.
of big ways, we got big ways to go down here at the Mud Creek jump, and these guys are just piling through here, making these ruts deeper, making it harder and harder. And pretty soon, probably in about 5 minutes, we'll be seeing our leaders back through here to this very same section. And at that point, these guys are going to have a completely different scenario and a completely different landscape than they did just one lap ago when they came through, because they were jumping to fresh, flat, somewhat firm dirt. Now they're jumping into literally the middle of a mud hole with ruts everywhere that these amateur riders have, you know, in their own race, and they're not trying to get through there. They're digging up the course just like this guy here. And now our XC1 and XC2 and XC3 and all the rest of our riders, when they come back through for their second lap, they're going to have to jump right through all these ruts.
Well, update. I don't know if you guys have paid attention. I haven't heard yet or not, but if you've seen the overall, I think that's something that we probably need to keep a little bit of an eye on, at least for the time being. And we will preface this with, we oftentimes see this happen at the beginning of the race. As the race wears on, it starts to be a little different. However, I have to point out, Ben Kelly and Josh Toth are two different individuals than we've ever dealt with before. So what has been par for the course in the past may not be the case today, so we're going to keep a close eye on that. Ben Kelly, if you look at it, turned in a 28:17 lap time and a 28:28 for Stu Baylor. That's 11-second difference, so it's only 11 seconds. That can be made up, that can be lost, a lot of things. It's going to get interesting as this day wears on, but just wanted to note that once again and let folks know that. But wow, what a great race. I heard you guys talking about it earlier. I got some updates that Caleb Russell had gotten stuck at one point, and that's when everybody got by him after that whole shot. And then amazingly, he's worked his way up, and I haven't been on here obviously since the start. So another thing that's really impressive to me right now is Thad Duvall. He went down, and not only did he go down, he stayed down for a little bit. He got up. It took him a few seconds to get that bike refired. So to see him back up in what is now the third place physically on the racetrack, fifth place overall in time adjustments, is pretty impressive.
I got to tell you, Rodney, I was out near the 1 mile marker, actually the 1 mile marker from the start, so it's about the 2.5. I was over there waiting, just watching those guys because I missed the start, and when they came by, Thad Duvall was a good 35 seconds behind Caleb Russell, who was at the time leading the race. You know, that's a big deficit in basically less than a mile of terrain. So it's now to the point where Thad has overcome that handicap, got back up front, and last we saw was chomping on the back of Lane Michael, who we now know he has gotten around, and you can only wonder how far is he behind the 5:14 of Stu Baylor. Those guys could be tightening up for a race as we speak.
Most certainly, and as we take a look at the situation unfolding, we are now almost 55 minutes into this race. It's going to be a near 3-hour race when it's all said and done. According to calculations, leaders due in about 3 minutes, but add another minute or so, 2 minutes or so onto that. So we expect maybe within the next 5 minutes we'll be seeing our physical leaders on the racetrack back at the finish line region, Johnny, and this is where we're going to start to see those times and see how folks are starting to settle in and what those gaps are really starting to shape up like as we're about a third of the way through this race.
There we go. We do see Thad Duvall, the 989 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna, followed by Caleb Russell, the #1 FMF KTM, and Stu Baylor. So that is now your top three. Thad Duvall has taken over the lead, Caleb Russell into second, and Stu Baylor third. Now, again, that is physically, that's a lapped rider there. We will have to wait and see exactly where Ben Kelly and Josh Toth factor into that equation, because as Rodney pointed out, last lap, 11 seconds was the gap that Ben Kelly had on then Stu Baylor leading. There is Ben Kelly. I don't know. Has that been a minute?
No, I don't think so.
That's right behind Kelly. I can't tell who that was. It might have been Ashburn, who I don't remember seeing that far up in there.
Wow, I'm trying to calculate. I think that's well within that minute. So we're probably looking at Ben Kelly still being the overall leader. And honestly, it didn't seem like those guys were physically very far ahead on the track of him either.
Whoa, look at this. Josh Toth just now coming by. Ben Kelly has stretched out a 40-plus second lead over Josh Toth. He is absolutely a man on a mission, and there he is on screen. Ben Kelly, and it looks as though he has displaced another one of the XC1 riders in his quest to get to the front, and that is, behind him is Jordan Ashburn. Yep, that was Ashburn that is right behind him. So he's latched onto Ashburn, or Ashburn is latched onto Kelly, and we have to go way back here. We see the 114 machine, Josh Strang, looking down at the right side of the bike there, Rodney. Looked as though he thought he might have a problem possibly with that rear brake system.
That's not too good a situation to be in, but hopefully he'll get that rectified pretty soon. I know Josh is one of those riders that he can push through the adversity, so once he figures out what it is, he might be able to ride with it, whatever the problem might be.
And there we see now Josh Toth working his way through. He is right behind Lane Michael and Grant Baylor, both from that XC1 class, which when we saw him a lap ago, he was physically ahead of Grant Baylor. Now, Lane Michael was pretty far up front, probably a good 45 seconds to a minute ahead of where he's at right now. But Ricky Russell now working his way through there at about the that's about the 12-mile marker. This is next coming down. Wait a minute. We must have missed our leaders there unless Ricky Russell has gotten to the lead. We didn't see him come by in that other shot.
Interesting. Russell was back in the 4th place position, only 3 seconds behind Thad Duvall at the end of that first lap. So who knows what could have happened out there. I mean, those guys were all pretty close there. So we may actually have missed our leader, Ricky Russell, in that last shot. Here he is, Ricky Russell into the chicanes next to the finish line. The 212 Ampro Yamaha, and that's a lapped rider behind him, so he is out front with nobody behind him anywhere to be seen. So we missed him in that last shot, thinking Thad Duvall's taking over the lead, but no, it's Ricky Russell. Wait a minute, Thad Duvall's already on the other side over there. Now he's coming to the finish. Ricky Russell was on the opposite side of the finish line. These camera shots are jumping around everywhere. And we got, there's your leader right there, the 989 of Thad Duvall. Got us excited for a second.
Second place was Stu Baylor as they checked in, and 3rd place Caleb Russell. So as we saw before, now Ricky Russell is minutes behind that. He is over on the other side, just now coming to the section where he still has about over a mile to go to the finish. Here was last lap, your overall leader, 5:30, Ben Kelly. He's working his way in. Rodney, get a refresh.
I got a refresh. We're waiting on him to check in here. As soon as he goes through the finish line, we will pop the free refresh button, and through the scoring barrels he goes. And as timing and scoring, it has been Kelly still out front. He turned a lap time of 29:42 that time. Thad Duvall had a 29:29 lap time, so that should tighten things up. On a lap's time right now, it's showing Ben Kelly with a 52-second lead. 58 minutes flat, basically. 58 minutes flat, .388 for Ben Kelly. 58:22.7, so there's a 22.7 second difference now, so that's actually lengthened out quite a bit, remarkably.
He has stretched it out. Now, mind you, we've got a different leader. It is now Thad Duvall out front, where it was Stu Baylor.
Right.
Stu Baylor into the pits for goggles, and it looked like fuel, and allowing to get by there was, I thought that might be Roniker behind him, but I don't believe it was. When they checked in, he was nowhere to be seen there, was he?
No.
Okay, that must have been a lapped rider there.
What we've got so far, we got Kelly through. Obviously, he's leading the XC2 250 class and overall on a time adjustments. Thad Duvall, Stu Baylor, Caleb Russell, Josh Toth has made his way through. Jordan Ashburn checks in at 6th overall, would put him in 4th in class. Josh Strang is 7th overall, 5th in class. Trevor Bollinger is 8th overall aboard the 739. Grant Baylor 9th overall aboard the 314. Lane Michael rounds out your top 10. Ricky Russell is all the way back in about 11th place. Pascal Rochnecker 12th, and they haven't checked in yet for that second lap complete, so they may have dropped back even a little bit further. Pit stops already here, looks like, for the JCR Honda ride of Trevor Bollinger here, it looks like, after 2 laps of racing, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely. He's in. He's taking some fresh goggles. He's already gotten that fuel and he's off on his way. But if you notice, when he came in, he was gesturing to the crew, shaking his head. Again, look at this. We were right about Josh Strang, looking down at the right rear of that machine, thinking as though he might have some type of a brake issue. And here we go, off with the rear wheel. My guess would be he bent that rear rotor. They're going to swap that wheel assembly out and get him a fresh new rear wheel with the rotor already on it. And it looks like maybe they're going to change a brake system. They are.
Yeah,
they're spraying that off. They're taking the brake system off. They're going to swap the whole system and get that thing back together for him and get him back out on the track.
Watch this poetry in motion right here. Wow. He tore that old one off and slapped that one on. Look at this. Nearly complete already. That right there shows you these guys work hard, and they train just as hard as the riders sometimes, because they know and realize that circumstances and situations are going to come up during a race, especially a GNCC race where they have to do things like this. So I'm sure that they've practiced this quite a bit in the garage back home, but at the same time, nothing compares to race conditions in which they are trying to get this done under right now. Still pretty impressive what we're seeing happen. Josh has lost quite a bit of time, but in the grand scheme of things, he's not going to lose as much time as he would have if they hadn't have done this.
No, absolutely. This will put him back in contention to be able to work his way back up through the pack, potentially earn some top 20 points today. More likely than not, unless we see things really change, I don't think we'll see him up in there battling for a podium or even a top 5. But in the championship hunt, every point counts. He's still battling for valuable championship money at the end of the year as it works its way down through. Obviously, it's not something you can just give up on. You got over an hour and a half of racing left, or 2.5 hours of racing left, and he's still got a lot of work to do and a chance to get up in there and earn some top 20 points.
Well, all of our pro riders have checked in except for Pascal Rachnecker and Jesse Grom here on lap number 2. So those are the two we're waiting on in that class. As far as XC2 250 class, we got Kelly Toth. Evan Smith now in the number 3 spot. That's a kind of a new name, 347 from Jefferson, Georgia on a Husqvarna, as Mike Witkowski has dropped to the number 4 position on the 282 from North Liberty, Indiana.
And here we see the creek jump, lap number 2. Thad Duvall is through clean, and he's opened up a little bit more of a gap. Now it's the number 1 FMF KTM of Caleb Russell in that 2nd place spot. Next we should see Stu Baylor, and there is Stu. He stopped, got some gas. He was the only rider of the top 3 that did stop and fuel already.
Ben Kelly's already checked in as well. Ben Kelly has already checked in at the jump. If you start taking a look at that, he was not very far behind those front runners. He's getting even closer right now, John.
That's actually Kelly right there on screen now. The rider behind him was a lap rider.
I seen him come through on my checkpoint here, so I knew he was coming anyway.
He's physically nearing the point where in the longer field sections, he may be able to see the top 3.
That's got to be some major incentive for him as this race wears on, if that be the case. And, this kid, you might ask the question, is he expelling too much energy here in the beginning of the race? But I don't think that I've ever seen that he has not expelled 110% energy throughout the race like that and never seems to wane or fade.
The funny thing about Ben Kelly is he always seems to be strong, even on that last lap. And then when he crosses the finish line, that's when it seems like his energy level gives out. So he leaves it all out on the track.
All righty, we got a little bit of time here, Johnny. An hour and 4 minutes into this race, pushing on an hour and 5 now. Let's take a look at some of our amateur classes out here. So we'll take a look at the B division. Mikey, I think, took a look at some of our A's there a few moments ago. We start out here with the Open B class, and in the Open B class, Drew Norris, the 912 from Blacklick, Ohio, a 19-second lead over the 230 of Evan Young out of Brewston Mills, West Virginia. It's Jacob Barnes, the 502 from Logan, Ohio, on a gas, running in the number 3 spot. There's about a 2-minute gap between 2nd and 3rd there. Matt Sorge, the 138 from Acton, New Jersey, in 4th. 402 Trevor Williams from Commerce Township, Michigan, another 4 seconds off that pace, rounding out the top 5. Then 6 through 10, the 729 of Aiden Burt from Blacklick, Ohio. 7th place, the 702 of Case Armitage from Cranberry Township, Pennsylvania. The 8th place position, the 361 of Joel Rivera from Kissimmee, Florida. 9th place, the 755 Corey Burton from Westville, Indiana. And 10th place, the 508 of Montville, Ohio's Honda Mountain Ride of Josh Webb. As we look next to the 250B class, Cole Whitmer, the 518 of Whitmer out of Amity, Pennsylvania, a minute and 44-second lead over Ian Flynn, the 422 from Greensboro, PA. From Canada, Benjamin Bluon, the 586 is 3rd. Alan Pollard, the 920 is 4th place. He's from Hamersville, Ohio. Winchester, Kentucky, home of the L8 Pop, L81. Tyler Bowling, 393 in 5th place. Kyle Prismont, the 122 out of Westchester, Ohio, in 6th. A.J. Opplinger, the 412 out of Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania. 8th place, the number 90 Evan Stewart from Wadsworth, Ohio. 9th place, Philip Daganese. Actually, I think he got the whole shot in this class. He's out of St. Columbia, Quebec, Canada. And 10th place, the 389 of Michael Hickson out of Gloucester. I think that's supposed to be Gloucester, Ohio, in that 10th place position. A look next at the 200B class. It is Colby Davis out front, the Berkshire, New York, the 607 with a 23, almost 24-second lead over Moto Guide, 777, Trevor Maley, who makes a visit here to the GNCC Racing out of North Canton, Ohio. 358, Tanner Kerpman out of Kensington, Ohio, is 3rd. Tanner Collins, the 430 from Crooksville, Ohio, in 4th. Jonathan Matheny from Ripley, West Virginia, he's 5th aboard the 520, and Nate Meiser out of of Yurksville, Ohio, rounds out the 6 in the 200B class. In the 4-stroke B lights class, it's Max Reimer from Saxonburg, PA, a 36-second lead over Jake Easler, the 714 from Flat Rock, North Carolina. 680 is TJ Fine from Belle Vernon, Pennsylvania. And then in 4th place, the 613, Zach Maley from Hanoverton, Ohio. Cody Reese, the 408 from Greensburg, PA, in 5th. 6th place, 730, Garrett Robertson from Randleman, North Carolina. 7th, Garrett George from Charleston, West Virginia on the 217. And 708, Andrew Tinker out of West Mifflin, Pennsylvania. Rounds out the 8 in the 4-stroke B lights class that have checked in with us so far. As we look at the Vet B class now, 30-plus. Wayne Skidmore, the 733 from Mount Savage, Maryland, with a 35-second lead over the 911 Ben Conaway from Howard, Ohio. 3rd spot, the 805, Matt Modick from Newberry, Ohio. 4th place, 372, Jimmy Pruder from Dayton, Ohio. Then we've got 961, Dave Hill from Russellton, Pennsylvania. Dave Murray is out of North Dinwiddle, Virginia, the 418 in 6. 401, Gary Basang from Lexington, Kentucky is in 7th. 8th place, Neil Hood out of Huntington, PA on the 565. And 276, Jeremy Stawobi out of Smithton, Pennsylvania, rounds out the 9 there in that field. Senior B, and we'll take a look at this 40-plus class. It is Jason Stickley, the 411 out of McDonald, PA, out front. The 353 of Tillman McDaniel out of Lexington, Kentucky is 2nd. Darren Darmos, 931 from Amherst, Ohio, in 3rd. 183, Devin Ferguson from Knoxville, Tennessee, 4th. 5th is 110, Mark Proper from Guys Mills, Pennsylvania. 621, Gene Swida out of Sarber, PA, is 6th place. And 7th place, the 425 of Stephen Elric from Blairsville, PA. 8th place, Scott Matheny from Hurricane, West Virginia, on the 994. 364, Jerry Page from Yurksville, Ohio. And 368, Chuck Ultimus rounds out the top 10 out of New Florence, PA. And that is your B class riders that we're taking a look at right now. And of course, we're joined in the booth now by this morning's WXC winner, Becca Sheets, here with us, and we want to say good afternoon and congratulations on, well, Becca, I got to tell you, you started off strong this morning. A great hole shot right off the bat.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome to pull the hole shot. I think that's the first one I've gotten all year, but I had the lead pretty early on, and Taylor actually got around me, I think before the first lap was over, but we stayed right together for a couple laps there at the beginning.
That's awesome, and a great start, a great run for you today. How's the championship? I mean, how did the year go for you as far as the championship? I know Taylor's been tough to dethrone and knock off as far as getting that number 1 plate back, but did you find some gains this year, I think, and feel that you made a lot of movement forward and be able to challenge next year?
Yeah, definitely. This whole year has been such a push to get better, and I definitely think I got a lot better this year, and it's been awesome that Taylor's been able to, push me to work on myself, and
well, obviously, it's good to have that kind of competition, and competition, it breeds other competition. What that does for you, it gives you a level to work toward. And one thing to point out, we've got Maria Forsberg back in the women's class. She's come the last couple of rounds. You've got competition like Taylor Jones. You've got Mackenzie Tricker, who's out with, I think, some broken toes right now or something like that. But that WXC class, the level of competition is just elevated so much over the last 5 years.
Yeah, it really has. I remember racing here against Maria years ago, and she actually got the first overall AM win here, and it was a really big deal. But now that's something that us girls do almost every weekend actually. There's always a girl on top, so we've definitely gotten a lot faster, and we're all pushing each other to get better. And I mean, it's a lot different than when I first started racing GNCC, so it's pretty cool to see how it's changed and how it's helped us all grow as racers.
It has. And the competition level is definitely a lot of fun to watch from a spectator point of view, and I imagine it's kind of nerve-wracking but fun at the same time from a rider's point of view too.
Yeah, it definitely is a little bit nerve-wracking, but all you can do is your best. As long as you put in your best effort, whatever comes of it, it will continue to get better. So it's cool. It's cool that it's part of my life. I really enjoy it.
That's awesome, and here we are, an hour and 11 minutes, 26 seconds into this race now. So we're rolling through and looking towards that, not even the halfway point, almost the halfway point in this race, and 2 laps down, working on lap 3. If you're just joining us here, we're from St. Clairsville, Ohio right now at the Powerline Park GNCC. Ben Kelly is leading the overall on time adjustment. He currently has about a 22.5-second lead on time adjustment over the physical leader of Thad Duvall. Stu Baylor is running 3rd overall, 2nd in that pro class, about 3 seconds back now himself. And then Caleb Russell is 4th place position, and that's in the overall 3rd in class. Josh Toth 5th overall, 2nd in that XC2 250 class. And mentioning, wow, look at that that mud hole right there. And whenever you see that mud hole, you only think one thing: St. Clairsville, Powerline Park, GNCC. And I'll tell you, we've been hosting the GNCC here at Powerline Park for many, many years, and to be able to come back here year after year, it's certainly been an honor. There's no doubt about it. And that being said, there's a lot of things that are about St. Clairsville that's more than GNCC racing and more than this Powerline Park. And of course, we had a chance on Friday with Lane McCormick and Mikey Waynes and the guys went out and checked out the local area.
Hey folks, Mikey Waynes here in the beautiful state of Ohio, and for this weekend's special segment, we've got with us the 2017 Youth ATV Champion, Lane McCormick. Lane, how are you, man?
Great, how are you?
I'm doing great, doing great. Well, the state of Ohio, a state of Hall of Fames, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, as well as the NFL's Hall of Fame, and of course, near and dear to our heart, 2 GNCC rounds. Of course, the historical John Penton GNCC, and this weekend, Powerline Park. But in addition to the great racing, there's also a lot of amazing things to see around St. Clairsville. One of which, this beautiful covered bridge we're at today. Lane, tell us a little bit about this bridge.
Yes, Belmont County lost their last covered bridge back in 1953. They were without one for several years until Fairfield County relocated one of their covered bridges in 1975, which is pretty impressive when this bridge was originally built in 1891.
That is impressive stuff. Well, I don't know about you, Lane. I say we drop these mics and we check this bridge out. But all right, maybe don't really drop the mic. Let's set them down. They're expensive. Okay.
Well, a very beautiful area, no doubt about it, in historic Ohio. The covered bridges around here are something that I know that this area is very proud of. I believe they have a covered bridge festival around here and things of that nature. So a pretty neat thing to have here in St. Clairsville, Ohio, outside of Powerline Park, where they have for many, many years had GNCC and many other types of four-wheel drive off-roading events. And just a great community as well if you've ever been out and around the area. As we are checking out the high sky view of the Powerline mud hole. That drone footage courtesy of Ian Howells, as he is our drone flyer here and can certainly get in some of the great and tight places, as I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is this the 4-mile marker we're looking at here, guys? I believe we're waiting on our leaders to check in. This will be our physical leaders. Okay, mile marker number 8. So we'll see them coming in here in just a few moments. I've got our split time scoring up as well, so we should get a little bit of a warning whenever they come through. But this is a critical part of the race right here. We're getting ready to come in. A lot of guys will be stopping for pit stops. We've seen a couple already stop in. I think that was strategy that some other riders might have been trying to play to maybe catch up at this particular point whenever other riders come in for their pit stop. Some riders like to go a little early. Some have to go a little early, but many of them like to go at about the halfway point and try to stretch it out with only one pit stop. So we'll see how today's strategies will work out for these riders as we continue to watch here. I believe Melo Gallardis making his way through there, coming through in just a moment in that Vet A30 Plus class. He's number 251. If you happen to see him coming through here in a few moments, that's the beauty of this new system. We can pick up on some of these amateur riders. We've already seen TJ Fine go through as well, the 680 rider. And we wait on Thad Duvall, Stu Baylor, Caleb Russell, and then, of course, Ben Kelly. Jesse Grom making his way through. We should be seeing him about any moment. I believe Jesse, as we were looking there a few moments ago, hadn't yet completed. And here comes the leader right there. Nope. That was Grom, I believe, that came through. According to timing and scoring, they haven't gotten to that point yet. So, but this is where we're going to be coming next. And just kind of watching timing and scoring right now. So, again, this is where our leaders are going to be coming out at. And Johnny Gallagher here with us again. You know, you got to wonder, Caleb Russell, here they come. We should be seeing them. It looks like Russell may be out front. Let's see if was that the case.
It looks like it was Russell followed by Thad Duvall, and then right next to him there is – that may have actually been – Ben Kelly that physically is up into that third-place spot. There was another KTM rider ahead of Stuart Baylor, and it may have been the number 530 of Benjamin Kelly.
Well, I've got a Kyle Prismont that was in between those two, which is a 250B class rider, so that may have been him getting in the midst of them as well.
That must have been, because there's Ben Kelly now just popping up on the screen.
Yeah, so Ben's not really far behind whenever you look at the splits here. He's coming up on the 8 mile. Should be seeing him about right now, as a matter. It might have been him that came through just when the camera glitched there. But Ben has checked in at the 8 mile marker split for us. And again, seeming like he might be well within that minute. Now, was he as deep into that minute as he was prior? It didn't seem like it, but again, the tail of the tape will be told when we come around to the finish line.
Yeah, last lap it was 22 seconds. On the first lap it was 11. So he was able to go faster by 11 seconds than each of the first 2 laps than the leader itself.
All right, here comes Kelly, I believe, through the 8 mile marker there.
No, not him.
No. Oh, that's the replay. That's our. That was not Caleb Russell. I believe that was. Yeah, Thad is leading this one. Okay, so
that was Caleb Russell, the other KTM rider that I
that's
saw.
what you were seeing. And according to timing, I don't think that Thad has one of the new scoring units on, so we're not picking him up on these split times out there. So we had that same thing going on with some of the ATV racers yesterday. Walker Fowler didn't have one either. So, but we'll try to keep you as abreast to the situation as possible. But yeah, it is still Thad Duvall out front. And as we take a look at this, we're still about 12 or so minutes out before we should be seeing these leaders in here at the finish line. What did I hear Bolton say? About a 13.5 mile race course these riders are racing?
13.5 miles. It was crazy yesterday. It's rare that we see a 13-mile marker out there.
In these last couple of races, we've seen longer tracks, it seems like.
Yeah, they keep putting the work in, trying to get these tracks longer and longer. And as a result, we're coming up with 4-lap races on Saturday and 5 or 6-lap races on Sunday once they add in the bike-only section. So it's I think it's really helping the racing action, and where before the guys were spending more laps, now it seems to be less lap with longer lap, and it's getting us also really close to that 3-hour mark almost week in and week out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it is. I mean, it takes its toll out there, that's for sure. And last race, I know the conditions and the length of the race, it all weighed heavy on a lot of riders out there, and it made for an interesting fishing. And, of course, as we rolled through this one, I had a chance to talk with Thad this morning, and I know the camera crew caught up with him as well. But one thing Thad knows is that the possibility of the championship may really be out of his grasp right now. But he has obviously still got that hope alive, because he knows as well as anybody with 2 rounds of racing left to go, anything can happen. But we did have a chance to catch up with him, and this is what Thad's thoughts were coming into the weekend.
I feel like there's you come back from summer break, you don't really know where you're at, what to expect, and to go out and win like that, I feel like now expectations are for me to go out and win again. I have the confidence now that I know I can win. It's been an awesome year, other than snowshoe, a little injury, but I feel like I show up the races and I'm expected to win, and just a little bit more pressure here. There's more family, more fans, and the championship's probably going to come down today. I think Caleb has to get 3rd or better. So we're running out of time for wins, and I got a baby on the way, so I got to get as much money wrapped up as I can. So I'm excited to be expecting the kid, and hopefully we'll have a good day today and then go to the hospital tomorrow and have my little man.
Well, there you go. Thad's got a lot going on this weekend. He's not necessarily looking and banking on a championship, but he's hoping for a win. He's in a good position to do that as we're joined in booth now by one of the former GNCC greats, Mr. Steve Hatch, who is also a great mentor for a lot of the riders out there with the Steve Hatch Racing Academy, I'll call it, racing school. Steve, welcome to Racer TV and GNCC Live.
Thanks, Rodney. It's always a pleasure to be here and be with the GNCC crew and see a great track. I know I was there at the last one at Mason-Dixon and started cheering on the riders and never made it back to the booth, so my apologies. But it feels like you're racing out there. So it's great to see everybody and great turnout. It turns out to be a really nice day and a lot of great racing out there. It brings back great times, and last year was really muddy, so this year is a lot nicer.
Now, does it bring back any memories of grandeur for you here at Powerline Park? You raced a few rounds here, too, didn't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, one of the best races I had, of course, as Faith has it, leading and about 2 laps to go, and my bike felt like the choke went on all of a sudden, just a freak thing, with like a 30-second lead, and a stick. Turns out after the race we figured it out. We changed the spark plug. We thought something else. After the race, my mechanic called me at home and he said, "Hey, you're not going to believe this. A stick literally went in there, pushed up the choke, and bent it so it wouldn't go back down." So I ran with a bobbling bike to last and ended up instead of potentially first. You know, it never happens when you're in 10th. So I think I ended up like 5th or something that day. But yeah, I love this place. It's slippery and technical, and you got to pay attention and good ruts, and you can ride it aggressive in the fields, and yet have to be really precise in the mud.
Now, was the Powerline mud hole, was it a part of the action whenever you rode here?
It sure was. I don't believe it had the jump, though. They're making it a little bit easier / harder. I don't remember which would be. It looks like it's more committal now, but if you make it, you're a hero. If you don't, it hurts.
Yeah, that's pretty. It's a lot of fun to watch. I hate laughing at some people's misfortunes, but things like that just sometimes make you want to chuckle. And if you notice, Johnny was talking about there's a hard spot, and then it goes soft, and then it gets hard again. And that's what the difficulty about that is, really, more than anything.
You're absolutely right, Rodney. I think we was looking at it this morning with a few of my riders, and yeah, if you jump too far, you go right in the hole, and if you jump too short, you go in the soft water. So you want to jump probably halfway onto that little island and then get the front end up, which is the tricky part. So you watch a few of the riders now that we see them on screen jumping, and then it's hard to get that bounce and the wheelie really well on the rebound of the forks and get traction there. So it's definitely a technical move, and 2 moves, really. You got to get the first one and get the second one, because either one puts you on your head.
No doubt, and we've seen that happen a few times. We are about an hour and 24 minutes into this race, working on 25. Less than 5 minutes now before we should be seeing the leaders check in at the finish line. We're watching the creek jump, or excuse me, the Powerline jump here at Powerline Park. It's not a creek per se. It's just kind of a ditch that has a lot of low area there, and it holds a lot of water. And you know, we talk a lot about the XC1, XC2. We've got XC2 riders leading on overall adjusted time right now, but let's look back into the FMF XC3 class a little bit. We haven't talked a lot about these guys yet. Jesse Ansley and Alex Teagarden have themselves had a pretty good battle going on that first lap. There's Caleb Russell on screen, by the way. He's their second place rider, still trying to chase down Thad Duvall. We'll get a split on officially for those guys coming up here in a few moments. That's Stu Baylor still back there in that number 3 position. A little bit of a gap opening up there. And interestingly, talking to him and Thad, he mentioned that, you know, he knows that Thad did to him what Caleb does to him, does to Thad. And then at the last race, just basically worked him and made the pass and got around him. And then Thad said basically the same thing. I worked him like Caleb works me. So it's pretty interesting. And speaking of Thad, there's Bad Thad leading this one. He's working this track here at St. Clairsville, Ohio, and he's working for a win as we work closer to that finish line. According to my calculations here on computer, we're still a couple of minutes out. We'll see him close to the finish line here, then they'll swing out, come back in, and be right here for us to find those specific time splits and things like that, Steve. So pretty exciting stuff going on. But back to the guys in that FMF XC3 class. We've got some pretty good battling going on that, and we'll check in with that in just a moment. I want to watch here and see how this third lap of racing is going to wrap up as we hit the halfway point. And here's where things oftentimes start to change. The hour and a half mark, really, it's either it goes one way or the other.
Yeah, absolutely. So in Thad's case, he started on the ground in the second turn, and you know, you have nowhere to go but up. And he's ridden really good and attacked, and now he's in the lead, and it can go up and down, you know. So I think, you know, I kind of divided it out when I was racing to 3 hours. There's the first hour, which you need a good start and then set the tone. And the second hour, you need to pick good lines. And the third hour is winning time. And the track changes every hour. And that's why GNCC is so amazing sport that, you know, the line that you used 30 minutes ago is no longer good, and you have to see that before you jump into the mud hole and get stuck. So I think that's the big thing.
And the beauty of it, I guess that's something that you have to get acclimated to very quickly, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, when Ryan Sipes came over here, you know, he's so used to the motocross, supercross, and, you know, you can memorize those tracks pretty easily and walk them and see them and, you know, walk them between practice and everything else. So, to see this track, there's no way. So the biggest thing with, like, you know, any rider, but, you know, especially when you're used to that style, is getting your head up, looking farther down the track and seeing those lines early. And I'll be at the end of a mud hole and, you know, try to get the riders to pick the good line. And the ones that are looking ahead can see me. The ones that aren't go right in the mud hole without even looking in or seeing me ever. So you need to take your head up, and that'll help you go faster and make everything boring. When you're looking ahead, everything goes slow motion, becomes boring. But when you feels like it's too fast, it's usually looking, you know, over your front fender.
Awesome. Nice observation there, Steve, no doubt. I'm checking with some things. We're about less than a minute. We should be seeing
Thad right there.
There's Thad right now coming into the finish line. Ooh, that right there could be good news for him and overall time adjustments. 29:38 lap time that time. He picked things up. He was faster than Ben Kelly again. That 22-second deficit that we have, we'll know more about here in a few moments. Right now, though, Caleb Russell checking in physically about 4.4 seconds behind him. He turned to 29:36. He was actually a little bit faster than Thad Duvall as he continues to make up ground after issues there on lap number 1. We wait next. Stu Baylor's checking in with us, and he has a 12-second gap behind Russell in that third place position. And of course, now we wait for, well, physically the fourth place rider, but that very well could be Ben Kelly coming around here in just a moment, and it is. Ben Kelly checks in physically in the fourth place position and time adjusted, still in the number 1 spot. After time adjustments and elapsed time, 1 hour, 27 minutes, 52 seconds, it is a 9-second difference now between Ben Kelly and Thad Duvall, as Thad is starting to chip away at that adjusted time lead that Kelly has. We're in the pits now. Looks like everybody trying to get a drink for themselves and their machines. And one thing to point out, Steve, this is one of the cooler races. We talked about it yesterday. It was frigid cold yesterday for the ATV racers. It's a little warmer in the mid-50s, I think, here today. It's supposed to be pushing close to 60. I don't think it's quite reaching it. But, wow, what a difference a couple weeks makes, huh?
You're not kidding, Rodney. It's, you know, the good news when it's racing weather like this, everybody feels better and can go fast. The trick is the guys that are in shape will still go faster. I always love racing in these conditions, but I always liked it hot or gnarly because then you know, you can't fake speed and you can't fake fitness, and those are earned off the track. So once it's a little bit cooler, everybody has a little bit better day, but you still have to push harder because everybody else have a little more energy instead of worrying about the hydration as much or the fitness. So it's definitely cooler in a couple weeks. Seems like it just flipped over on the few days there, and you know, it's definitely getting into the fall time, and with the Ironman coming up, it's going to be good.
It is, and I was saying something about this earlier. Weird that the leaves are still green. We're not used to leaves still being green whenever we get here. By the way, watching, timing, and scoring, Josh Toth checked in 5th physically on the racetrack, 2nd in the XC2 250 Pro class. He is 5th overall currently. Grant Baylor has checked in. He was 6th physically on the track, 6th in standings right now. Jordan Ashburn is now checked in at 7th place overall and 7th physically on the racetrack. We'll be seeing Josh Strang check in. There's another pit stop going on, it looks like. Ben Kelly in and out for his pit. That was Caleb. Ooh.
Josh Toth.
Josh Toth, I'm sorry. That was, I seen that number 1. We knew it was an XC2 guy. Sorry about that. That's all right, Adam. But it was Josh Toth, not Ben Kelly. That was your 5th place rider, 2nd in class. But wow, what about these guys? I mean, I know we've talked about them before, but this is pretty impressive stuff. And I realize that the likelihood of Ben hanging on to this lead all the way to the end is starting to slim out, especially as we see Thad start to close in on that. But wow, what impressive stuff. Through 3 laps, he's held on to the adjusted time lead, and we haven't seen that in quite some time. We've seen one lap maybe, and they'll be in the top 5 for another lap, and then they start fading down. That's not the case. Ben Kelly actually taking 3rd overall at the last race. That must have given him some major incentive.
Yeah, I know he's been working hard over the summer break and, really pinning it and doing well. It's definitely, he's upped his game. I know last year with have a hurt and broken wrist coming into the season was tough, and he had to earn his way through there, and he did an amazing job. But he's definitely pushing this year, definitely strong, and definitely got the winning attitude, and he's been putting in the work, and you can tell. So I would not be surprised if he doesn't give him a run for his money for a few more laps too.
Well, I'll tell you what, I questioned his diet when I went down there. Avocados, eggplant, and something else, and I was like, I couldn't eat that myself, but man, he was devouring it. So it must be good food. I tell you, he's got a great diet. The kid is just ultimately at a physical peak right now that he's probably never been in his life, and I tell you, it's showing on and off the racetrack.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Rodney. I was blessed to work with Ben and with Josh last year, and then this year Charlie Mullins has been working with him and training him up, and they look really strong, and getting all the pieces to the program together. So
that makes a lot of sense if you think about it, the diet program and stuff that Charlie went on. We've seen Caleb Russell, the same transformation for him. Wow, Charlie must be on to something over there, with that diet thing. I mean, obviously, you guys all got good training programs, but that little edge might be the diet,
Absolutely. Well, you're only as good as what you put in your body, and same with your bike. If you put water in your gas tank, it's not going to run very well. Ooh, a guy going down. But, and that's what I tell my riders.
We got our leaders coming through. That's Stu Baylor. Actually, Stu Baylor just came through. Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall have already come through. That's Stu Baylor down on the ground. I missed that, and sorry about that. We'll get
he just cross-rutted. I happened to just see it. He just cross-rutted when he landed on the second part of the jump.
And look at that. He's taking his gloves off. His KTM crew has given him a new pair of gloves, at least one new glove there that he can grip that throttle with. That's very important right there.
It's nothing worse than that, of course. And, there goes Ben Kelly now.
Wow, he's really
so
close
Stu
up on
made it across the part into the island, and then that second part's really rutted. You can see 2 main ruts. And if you don't get that right, which is kind of what it looked like Stu did, and it kind of cross-rutted and just put him on his head.
Wow, heartbreaker there for Stu, and actually good news for Ben Kelly because if things do start to tighten up for him, he still has a little bit of flex room there with that 3rd place overall. So likely we're going to see him on the podium again today, one place or another.
I think you're right, absolutely. Ben thrives in the tough stuff and coming from the Northeast and really pushing with the training, like we said, and everything else. He's really hitting his stride, and it's great to see.
Well, still waiting. I'm watching the finish line. I'm watching the jump here as well. There, I think Josh Toth should be coming through here in just a second. We saw Grant Baylor. Grant Baylor was just ahead of him, and Toth just came through there. We've seen him. And I watched this, I'm not going to say deteriorate, but I watched this section start to get more and more challenging. And I mentioned it yesterday. It wasn't until the last lap that we started to see things break away off that hard part of the island. And then once it started pumping and water started pumping, I said, boy, the bikes, the 2 wheels are going to have a devil of a time tomorrow because when they hit, they dig deeper. They got a skinnier tread path, and for some reason it goes deeper and digs deeper for them. And it's doing exactly what I expected it to do down there.
You're absolutely right. I think one of my riders said, "Oh, well, you jump and there's 300 pounds hitting the other side." I said, "Well, the bike's 250, and if the guy's 200 pounds, that's 450. And if the jump was bigger, everybody thinks that would be better. It actually, in my opinion, wouldn't." So if you jump higher, you come down with more force. So they're kind of jumping out and trying to set gently, but it's easy to get hitting it from way up.
Well, let's take a look at what happened with Stu there. Let's kind of analyze the situation for the folks back home on RacerTV.com and see just exactly what happened with Stu and him going down over this creek jump. Yeah, just a simple cross rut there. I mean, he bounced, and that front tire went out of the main line, and his back tire tried to stay in it, and it pitched him right off the bike.
Yep, doesn't take much. This obviously Ohio mud is greasy. I was trying to push my bicycle up a few of the hills out there, and I was taking 1 step forward and 3 backwards. So it's ice, and when he just landed, he was perfect on the jump onto the island. And then when he went into the 2 ruts, he was right in the middle of both of them, and I don't care who you are, you're going down, even if you're Stu Baylor.
Yeah, that's a tough one for sure. Trevor Bollinger has come through. I believe we may be seeing him. Actually, he's already gone through, I think. So Bollinger is running 5th in class, I believe.
Ryder just stopped.
Changed his mind, huh?
Or maybe he's looking at it. No, he's going around.
Now, here's a good opportunity for us to see. Johnny was saying a good 35, 40 seconds longer for these guys to go around that way. ATVs were having trouble getting through that ditch, so they go there, they go through that little part, and then they have to swing out and around, so it is a little bit longer. If you can make this jump, it can pay huge dividends. However, if you don't, and it costs you a lot too.
Yeah, good point. It looks like it's way slower, and I don't think that way's, I mean, I know it's easier, but if it adds.
Well, right now, looking at things, we are about 21 minutes out from seeing these riders complete lap number 4, an hour and 37, working on 38 minutes into this race. We've got our top 20 in. I'll run your quick top 20, and I'll give you a real quick as well top 3 in our amateur classes. Our top 20 overall: Ben Kelly, Thad Duvall, Caleb Russell, top 3, Stu Baylor 4, Josh Toth in 5th, Grant Baylor 6th, Jordan Ashburn 7th, 8th is Lane Michael, 9th Trevor Bollinger, 10th Josh Strang, Ricky Russell in 11th, Corey Buttrick is 12th, Andrew DeLong 13th, Craig DeLong in 14th, Mike Witkowski is 15th overall right now, Bradley Cox in 16th, Ryder Lafferty 17th, Liam Draper is 18th, Austin Lee 19th, Jonathan Johnson rounds out your top 10. As we take a look at our top 3 podium riders right now, senior 840 plus class, longtime GNCCer and former pro Dwayne Connor back with us again out of Houston, Pennsylvania. Minute and 26-second lead on the 356 over the 589 of Frank Messina from Campbell Hall, New York. And then we've got shotgun Sean Remington, whom we often see out front in this class in the number 3 position on the 69 from New Salem, Pennsylvania. In the Open B class, let's do all A classes first, and then we'll go to the B classes. Our next class is the 4-stroke A lights, and Mac Reimer, after 2, continues to lead in this one. Due in, they just checked in a little while ago. They have 38-minute lap time, so they've been about 10, 12 minutes out on this lap. They're doing about 25 minutes. Reimer out front out of Saxonburg, PA. The 714 Flat Rock, North Carolina is Jake Easler. 680 TJ Fine out of Bell Vernon, PA rounds out your top 3 in the 4-stroke B lights class. Yeah, I guess that was 4-stroke B lights. I thought I was getting into the A classes, but sorry about that. We'll go for an A class right here. How about an Open A division? Evan Earl, the 101 from Blacksburg, South Carolina, due in less than 3 for 3rd lap complete. He's got a lead of only 8 seconds, or had, over the 424 of Tyler Soriano from Yerkesville, Ohio. Ben Parsons, the 43 from Orlando, Florida, another 53 seconds back in the number 3 spot. 258 class, JoJo Bowden from East Amherst, New York, 51-second lead after 2, due in about a minute. The 444 over the 811 of Simon Johnson from Bennington, Vermont. As we take a look at that 3rd place position, 414 Brewer Carley from Lexington, South Carolina, only 36 seconds off the pace of 2nd place. 208 class, Zachary Davidson from Iron Station, North Carolina, the 199. Nearly a minute lead over Michael Beeler now, the 281 from Waterford Works, New Jersey. Travis Renaud out of Stratford, Missouri, the 406 in 3rd. Taking a look next at 4-stroke A lights, Brody Johnson, the 235 from Landham, South Carolina, leading the 56 of Johnny Manera from Millville, New Jersey, and the 66 of Michael DeLosa rounding out the top 3 right now out of Gillette, Pennsylvania. Junior AB 25 plus class is Andrew Boggs leading the 62 out of Masontown, West Virginia, over the 419 Nick Mellinger from Oakland, Maryland, and the 64 of Tyler Bruton out of Troughton, North Carolina, is running in the number 3 spot. Tyler actually got the 3rd place position, I think, vying for the championship in that class, if I'm not mistaken. The Vet A30 plus class, Andrew Matusik, former GNCCer full-time, then broke away for a little bit. He's also a trainer, if I'm not mistaken, but Tuzik, the 542 from Franklin, Georgia, 15-second lead over the 42 Sam Forrester from Elkton, Maryland, a 157 time gap back to the number 369 of Nathan Alring out of the Queen City of Cincinnati, as he rounds out the top 3 in the Vet A class. Now, quickly to the B classes. We ran the Open B just a moment ago, so let's check in with the 250B. Cole Whitmer from Amity, Pennsylvania, the 518 with a 2-minute 27-second lead over Ian Flynn out of Greensboro, PA, who's 2nd. 3rd place, Benjamin Blewett out of Canada on the 586. As we look next, Colby Davis leading the 200B class on the 607 from Berkshire, New York, 777. Moto guy Trevor Maley out of North Canton, Ohio, in 2nd. We might be able to sway him over here to the Woodside a little more often if he keeps performing like this. 358, Tanner Kerfman out of Kensington, Ohio. He rounds out your podium right now in that 200B class. 4-stroke B lights class, Mac Reimer out of Saxonburg, PA, leading Jake Easler out of Flat Rock, North Carolina. There's about 47 seconds there. They have nearly 5 minutes over TJ Fine, the 680 out of Barrel Vernon, PA, in the 3rd place position. Vet B 30-plus class, Matt Modick, the 805 from Newberry, Ohio. 27-second lead over the 911 Ben Conaway from Howard, Ohio. Rounding out the podium position in the Vet B 30-plus class is Jimmy Pruder out of Dayton, Ohio. And with that, Senior B, Tillman McDaniel out of Lexington, Kentucky. 2 laps down, 11.8 seconds over the 183 of Devin Ferguson. Ferguson out of Knoxville, Tennessee. And rounding out the podium right now, the 411 of Jason Stickley from McDonald, Pennsylvania. And that's a look at our top podium positions in our classes. Let's check the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am Class 2. Jesse Ansley out in front of that one. 309 to Alex Teagarden in 2nd, and Cody Barnes rounds out 3rd place. Zach Nolan is your 4th place position, and I believe you said top 5 in XC2. We've got Ben Kelly, Josh Toth. They are running top 5 overall right now, but back almost 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 52 seconds in 3rd place. Craig DeLong is 3rd. Mike Witkowski another 17 seconds back in 4th. And rounding out the top 5, XC2 250 Pro Class of 409 of Bradley Cox out of Cato Ridge. And of course, with that, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll obviously catch up with all the great racing action that's going on, and we'll catch up with the King of the Blackwater, Mark Hyde, as RacerTV continues right after this.
The halfway point is here, and these riders have endured over an hour now of hard battling through the woods at extremely high heart rates, the type the average athlete couldn't even fathom for this level of distance. Can they stick with it to the end? Don't click that X. GNCC Live on RacerTV.com continues after this.
What is your passion? Hitting the perfect line, finding the perfect trail, routing the perfect adventure, or just living and breathing the moto life? Do you feel pride for a job well done after tackling a late night in the shop? Do you enjoy time spent with friends and family in the great outdoors? Spanning over 3 decades, one name has taken the lead for supplying the best powersport parts, accessories, and apparel to fuel your passion. One name that knows it goes beyond getting you the best prices, quickest shipping, or largest selection. One name that builds and innovates for our industry. One name that teaches, helps, and supports our fellow riders, racers, and organizations.
We handle your races, your jumps, and your trails. Isn't it time you give your daily driver the same love? Amsoil Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard. Amsoil also offers a full family of ATV, UTV lubricants, giving you above and beyond fortification for your weekday and weekend vehicles. Amsoil, devoted to protection.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood.
That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
for those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association, racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now. Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. The all-new from the ground up 2019 Yamaha YZ250F is available at LoJack Cycle Sales, alongside the all-new YZ65 and YZ85, and refined YZ450F. So stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
All right, here at the field section, looks like Caleb Russell, I believe Thad Duvall also getting ready to check in here at the 8-mile marker as we are watching. Welcome back to GNCC Live, by the way. Rodney Tomlin here from Powerline Park. A little fast on these guys as they are headed out to this section of the racetrack right now, which is about 2/3 of the way through the race course as we're looking at a 13-mile racetrack, man. That's almost back the kind of stuff that you ran, Mark Hyde, back in the day of the 100-milers and stuff, huh?
Yeah, you look forward for doing a long lap back then because doing 100 miles, instead of just 3 hours, you like to change the scenery on a regular basis.
No doubt about it. We are joined with Mark Hyde, and we are joined on screen by our leader should be checking in. That's not Thad Duvall. But here it is, replay of Thad coming through there just a few moments ago. We saw that Caleb Russell's made his way through, and we also point out the fact that Stu Baylor had an issue there at the mud hole, so he lost a lot of time physically on the racetrack. He has not come through this section yet, so there's a lot of gap that's opening up there. Ben Kelly was hot on his rear wheel, so I have to wonder if Stu wasn't able to get back up to pace, if maybe Ben hasn't actually passed him physically on this racetrack right now. There's Stu Baylor. Should be. Was that him that just went by? Okay, so he is still physically ahead, it looks like, of Ben Kelly as we wait for Kelly to check in. And it shouldn't be long now, Mark Hyde, right here at this point on the race course. But as we were talking there just a moment ago, Blackwater, you won that one 4 times, and that's a whole different beast than. And then I'm sure obviously you ran some of the 100-miler series races as well. Been a great progression to see where it's come from to where it is now, and to see 3 pro classes out there right now is a pretty amazing thing. And what's really cool about it, the second, the XC2 guy is leading the overall. And that's the kind of thing that I think when Big Dave made this series, that's the kind of thing he was banking on, seeing those types of things take place.
Yeah, it's cool to come to these and see where they've gone because I was in them at the very beginning. And the professionalism that's out there now and just the quantity of riding that you get and the different places you get to go and the great racetracks that are out there, it's pretty amazing.
Ben Kelly, I think. Okay, Ben Kelly is should be coming through, or did come through there. I'm sorry to cut you off there, Mark, but like we said, the changes certainly, with all the professionalism and to where we are today, it's come a long, long way. And with that, you've come a long way, man. I mean, you've been a part of this motorcycling industry, and even though you aren't racing on a regular basis now, one thing that you do is you're still a big part of the KTM Ride Orange program.
Yeah, the KTM Ride Orange program has just been great for me and for KTM. We do demos all over the United States. I have semis for both street and dirt bikes, and it's great to go out there and see the people and go to a bunch of places where I've raced over the years and just get back to see old friends. But the program, with motorcycles being what the price they are nowadays, to get out and ride the bike ahead of time before you go plunk that money down. And we have a lot of KTM customers, and it also makes sure our KTM customers buy the right new bike. A guy, right now we've got the new fuel-injected 2-strokes that everybody's kind of hot on, and so cool to get to go ride that bike, and then before you go down and punk money down at the dealership.
Right.
So it's just a great program to get to ride the different models at different places in conditions that you're going to be riding them in yourself.
And next weekend, Crow Canyon, right? That's just north of where we're at right now, right?
Yeah, it's just up the road about an hour or so up in New Philadelphia, or Yorksville, Ohio, right by New Philly. Actually, we used to have some GNCCs at Crow Canyon. At that time, I saw him today, Rodney Smith. I was his mechanic at that time, and we won a few races there. And it's good to, and it's great to see a lot of the folks here. I mean, ran into Ed Lojack, Randy Hawkins, Freddie Andrews, Rodney, Steve Hatch. It's kind of the who's who of the off-road world.
And it's awesome that all you guys are still out here in some way, shape, or form. And hey, I just want to point something out, and maybe my producer, Adam, you can help me out with this, but it looks like we might have a new leader in the XC2. According to timing and scoring at the 8-mile marker, Josh Toth checked in ahead of Ben Kelly, and it looks like that Ben has lost quite a bit of time, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about 40 seconds over Josh Toth right now. So we might be seeing something transpire there. Big differences taking place in the overall as well as that XC2 250 Pro class. And I'll tell you, Ben Kelly was really on rails there, and has been these first 3 laps, working on this fourth lap. If the timing and scoring that I'm reading right here is right, then wow, what a big disappointment, a heartbreaker. But I know, just watching and remembering back, we've seen these situations arise before, and all of a sudden, Ben Kelly can make up more time and faster than anybody I've ever seen. Almost as fast as a baler, I think, out there. Those boys somehow make up time. They dig deep, and they just find speed and lines that they normally don't find during those times, and are able to do that. And Ben's one of those.
Yeah. And it's on a course like today, too, because we've had some rain, and we have the big mud hole out there, so there's some things that can sneak up and bite you when you're not paying attention. And also with the young kids, I mean, I love to see, him and Josh, they're really getting after it. And sometimes, they don't play the smart game like a Caleb Russell or Rodney Smith did back in the day, and they'll make that mistake, but with the mistakes also come big chances, big rewards sometimes. It can go either way, and you see that out of Ben and some of the younger kids, but that's just part of the learning curve. We've all went through it, and it's great to just see the young kids up there on a day like today challenging the XC1 guys, to let them know, hey, I'm coming after you.
Yeah, and it's a good indication of what's going to possibly happen in the upcoming season, especially as we are waning down with the penultimate round here this weekend. The next to the last round of racing will be going to the Ironman. That one is a huge one, believe it or not. We got Friday night, the Davidson brothers are going to be playing. We're talking about all the concerts. I mean, we talk about everything that's going on. We got mountain bike racing going on that night. We've got Davidson brothers on Friday night. Saturday night's Corbin Easton on the Monster Energy stage over there. We're going to have demo rides. I know that probably some pit bike racing, UTV racing, and of course GNCC racing. One thing we don't know right now is, of course, whether or not we will be crowning a champion then, or will we be crowning a champion today. Caleb Russell currently sitting 3rd place overall. He's 2nd in class. Now, the idea, and from what I've been told, is if Caleb Russell is able to is able to finish 3rd or better overall today, he will clinch the title for 2018, which will be his 6th, and it will put him in a league all his own as a 6-time motorcycle champion, which nobody, not even Rodney Smith, the great Scott Summers, none of those guys will be able. Eddie Lojack, a 9-time champion. Thank you for pointing that out. Mark's still old school. He remembers that, a 9-time champion. So he's in a league now. He's getting into that league with Eddie Lojack. Okay.
Well, I had to say that because Ed is here today,
yeah,
and I saved him the trip up here.
You did,
and
I'm glad you did. For some reason, I don't know why we forget that, and it always seems to slip our mind. We tend to forget Ed Lojack, a 9-time GNCC champion, and that is some great accolades right there. So at 6, it's huge. You know what I mean? If Caleb can make 9 Eddie Lojack's, that will really be a feat. I don't know if anybody's ever going to be able to match that, to be honest with you. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, time will obviously tell that story. Of course, speaking of telling stories, we did have a chance to catch up with Caleb today and talk a little bit about him as this racer is fist pumping the crowd out there. But like I said, we talked to Caleb about the end of this season.
I mean, it's racing. I can't really predict anything, but I'm just going to do me, and as long as I'm on the podium today, the war is over. Yeah, the motocross was fun. I spent a lot of time at Outings to prepare for that, and he finally gave me the okay to get a hold of Roger and get the factory bike and be able to go do that. So that was really exciting. A huge step for me and my career, and a big goal of mine to be able to do that. So that was a lot of fun, a great experience, and yeah, it's over with now. So.
So wow. So Caleb, man, I tell you, the guy's got a good thing going on right now.
Yes.
Seems to be relaxed. He did the work last year, leading into the season. He did the work at the beginning of the season. He had some issues, obviously, that has kept him off the center of the box a couple of times here recently. But at the same time, man, he does what he has to do to be a champion, and that's how champions ride. There's no doubt. So watching right now, who is that guy? That's 620. What's the number on that guy's helmet? I can't quite see that.
His bike was stuck in the mud hole, so he's spending time with the fans out there.
Yeah, I see that. It's been there a while because I'm looking at. I'm on the wrong screen here. Okay, let me switch over. I might actually be able to get that guy's name and number for you.
You know, and speaking of Caleb Russell, you know, KTM in the off-road business, that's our bread and butter. But you know, like Ryan Dungey, you know, did for us on the motocross side, Caleb's doing it for the off-road side. He sets the bar. So when you see young kids like Josh and Ben Kelly coming up, you know, they see where you have to go to be a champion, and that's the great thing about Caleb. You know, I know his dad, Jeff Russell. He won a national enduro championship for us at KTM, so it runs in the family. So it's great to see Caleb have the success he's having, you know, coming from a great family, and you know, his grandfather Howard, just a super family, and have given a lot back to the sport. And it's great to have a guy like Caleb. You know, just because he's a champion doesn't mean he takes it easy. He actually even goes even further, takes the next step.
Exactly. And we are less than a minute out when we should be seeing our leaders check in. Thad Duval should be rolling through, and lo and behold, there he is, right on schedule. Actually, I'm thinking he might be about 10 or 15 seconds ahead of schedule. Last time he turned a 29:38 lap time. Let's see where we're going to see as far as lap times. A 29:38. This time around a 29:52. Oh, wait a minute. No, 29:56. 29:56, and Caleb right there behind him, 2.3 seconds with a 29:54. Caleb's been chipping away, turning a couple of seconds faster lap the last couple of laps on that, but that's been maintaining the lead. And we're going to wait a little while before we see Stu Baylor after he went down there. But the big question is now Josh Toth, now is what I saw on the computer timing and scoring here, is Josh Toth out front? And if so, how far back did Ben Kelly fall? And how far up did Josh Toth move? Did he get around Stu Baylor? Is Stu back into the third place physically on the racetrack? We're about to answer those questions here in just a couple moments. 4 laps down. I believe the 2-lap board is out with 2 laps left to go in this one, Mark. So we're on our way home to the end of this one, and Caleb Russell looks like he's on his way home to championship number 6. But we've got some folks making some pit stops here. That's Thad Duval in the Rockstar Husqvarna pits there. And Caleb Russell makes the pass. So Caleb Russell moves into the lead after a pit stop by Thad Duval on the with 2 laps to go. I wonder if pitting strategy didn't pay off for Thad. Did he pit early? Did he not pit at the halfway point and decide to pit this time? I mean, kind of crazy there.
Well, Thad tends to use a little more fuel than the other guys. So Caleb's banking on a 1-stop race today, and Thad has had to do 2. So that's kind of the pit strategy there. Because we saw earlier this year, Thad kind of rolled the dice and come up short when he ran out at the one GNCC earlier this year. So he's playing it smart. And that gives him 2 laps, too, to make it up. He didn't wait for the last lap to do a splash, so now he's got 2 laps, and with the mud hole and traffic and other things out there, I mean, he can maybe use that to his advantage to get on the rear wheel of Caleb and get after him.
Now, fuel consumption is a science, I realize, for you guys, and I guess conditions probably, you have a set standard for fuel mileage, but conditions oftentimes make that vary, I guess, huh?
Yes, it's a big difference, because it's funny, you know, we had Steve Hatch up here earlier, and I talked to Rodney earlier today, and Rodney was like Mr. Fuel Efficient. You swore he made gas out there. We could go like 4 laps when Steve could barely make 3. So riding style has a lot to do with it. Bike setup, you know, because Steve always liked a bike that hit super hard, where Rodney liked a more linear power band. So it just, you know, everything's different, so you have to compensate that. But you know, but then also they do know their fuel mileage, what they can make and what they can't make. So
now, are there marks on that tank that allow the spotters out on the track to say, hey, he's using a little more fuel than we expected, stop him and give him fuel? Do they do things like that?
Well, the tanks are translucent, so you can see into them. they don't have any marks on the bike, but and they already gassed Thad once, so they knew when they gassed him the first time by going on the second lap, they knew they were going to have to gas too. So, but there's, I mean, you keep your notes all year long and from year to year, so you know exactly how much fuel pretty much to the ounce that these guys are using.
Alrighty, so Toth is in, and so is Ben Kelly, and it is Josh Toth leading. Toth has dropped to the number 3 overall position. He may be looking at a podium position himself, but Ben Kelly less than a second behind him. So we got the 2 KTM boys in that XC2 class literally going at it wheel to wheel right now.
Yeah, you know, there's points battles all over the place. Those guys are, and it's great, like I said, to have those young kids up there, and the future for KTM looks great with those kids and to the whole sport. It's really awesome to see them out there.
I believe this is who we're watching on screen right now. As we said, Stu Baylor is now 5th place overall. And Toth is in the front of this pack that we're watching right now as Ben Kelly is trying to chase him down from about a second back. I mean, that is some very tight stuff. And while you have to wonder what did happen to Ben Kelly, and I guess Mikey Waynes, if you're out and about, you might want to grab a mic and maybe go down and try to get a word on what's going on there with that swap out there with Toth and Ben Kelly. And, of course, I'm sure somebody down there has got an answer someplace at the KTM pits. But, wow, what big changes here. Also seeing Grant Baylor is up to 6th place now after 4 laps. Jordan Ashburn in 7th, so Grant's making a little bit of gains. Who's this? We got another XC2 guy.
Yeah, I'm just glad it's not my little buddy Alfie Cox's son Bradley. He's over here from South Africa, going to race. He's riding the last 2 GNCCs. Alfie, his dad, he finished second at Dakar one time, and he won the first Erzberg they ever had. So
really?
Another guy with a lot of talent here in America. But his son Bradley, he's just a young kid coming over here getting the taste of American racing.
You know, I didn't it's funny you say that. The name really stood out to me today. It seemed different. I never read it before, so that explains why I've never read that name before. So what class was he in?
He's riding XC2.
All right, let's see where Bradley is.
He was running like 8th or 9th in the class. He's actually battling with Mike Lafferty's nephew, Ryder Lafferty.
Yeah, he's 5th.
Yep.
He's up to 5th. That's after 3.
Up.
So
nice.
Right now, Craig DeLong was 3rd. He should be checking in here in the next couple minutes. Mike Wachowski was 4th. Bradley Cox was in the number 5 spot. I wonder where Cato Ridge NA was, man. I had no clue.
South Africa. Yeah, he had about a 24-hour plane ride getting here, so he really wanted to come race with us today.
I would say so. To sit on a plane for 24 hours, yeah, you gotta go. You want to be where you're going. That's for sure.
Yeah, his dad also. They had a race over in Africa called the Roof of Africa. It was kind of like their Blackwater.
Yeah, I've heard of that one too. Is Caleb come through on this one?
Yes, he and Thad went right wheel to wheel right over the jump.
Okay, so I'm watching screens and not checking monitors. So I do see that they came through in that neck of the woods there at the jump. We'll see who's coming through next. It should be, as we expect, again, Josh Toth, whom I think is actually physically 3rd overall on the track right now. If not, he's very close to it because I know Stu had a long lay down there in that mud hole just a lap ago. And though he did get up ahead of those guys, I don't know if his momentum was still on his side, especially the way that Toth and Kelly were riding. They were coming hard and fast.
Yes, they are.
So continuing to watch here at the jump. Here comes Josh Toth. Josh Toth, we should be seeing him in our picture here pretty soon. Right behind him will be Grant Baylor. Baylor's gotten around Stu Baylor now, so we see a little bit of a change taking place here. So the momentum on the part of Stu, something must have happened when he went down out there earlier. I don't know if it was a mental thing, a physical thing, or a mechanical thing, but whatever it is, Stu's losing ground out there.
Yeah, and sometimes it just takes something little, and it.
There he goes right there. Yep. 530 of Ben Kelly.
You can bend a lever, twist some bars, and it just kind of throws you off. So then you lose your pace. He might have got his heart rate up a little bit, and these guys are, they're in their groove, and so it just, sometimes it doesn't take much, and you end up going back just a little bit. It doesn't, at the level these guys are riding, lap after lap, it's amazing.
And I have to think that keeping your heart rate at a particular level for so long, monitoring that, saying, okay, I feel where I'm at, knowing when to push and not to push, and then maybe if the heart rate goes up when you don't expect it to or need it to, yeah, you're right. A lot of things can change throughout the course. And 3 hours, I mean, that becomes critical in 3 hours. I mean, no one knew that science whenever you guys raced so many years ago. It was all guts and glory back then, huh?
Yeah. And the thing too with the guys, the guys racing with him, they might have saw his mistake, and then you capitalized on that. You say, okay, he went down, let me gap him, get out of sight. So there's a lot of mental things going on both sides, you know, like.
So continuing to watch out here and watch the finish line as well. We're about 23 minutes out before we should be seeing leaders check in for, well, let's update that. We're 21 minutes now before we should be seeing the leaders making their way through. We got some fancy new Sport Tech scoring systems coming in here. The folks back home can't utilize this, but look here, Mark, we can actually, and this is something, a feature that we're going to be offering in the future, but you can watch on screen and you can see where the riders are on screen right there. Mikey Waynes, I believe, may be standing by. Let's check in with Mikey. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, Rodney, getting an update for you on the Ben Kelly situation. Nothing crazy. He's went down a couple times, nothing too bad, but that explains him losing a little bit of ground out there in the overall, and that opened up the window for Josh Toth. They both came in here. Toth did not pit. Ben Kelly got goggles, water, right back out there on his heels. The other thing, which you guys talked about briefly, was Grant Baylor catching up to the pace of Stu Baylor. They came through the pits at the exact same time as one another, and it sounds like from what you guys are saying, they're battling out there now. So Stu, another guy, losing a little ground.
Yeah, exactly. And as we pointed out, Grant has gotten around Stu now, so he continues to fall back there, Mikey. And keep us updated, if you will. Keep an ear out, keep an ear to the ground, if you will. And when you find out something, anything interesting, be sure to bring it back to us. Again, right now we are a little over 2 hours into this race, 2 hours and 7 minutes and about 30 some seconds. Rodney Tomlin joined right now by King of the Blackwater, Mark Hyde, who is here with us with the Ride Orange KTM team this week, and they're going to be up next week at Crow Canyon for a KTM demo ride. Go to ktm.com, and there you'll be able to find all the information out. I'm not kicking you out. I'm just reminding folks who you are and what your purpose is here this weekend, Mark. And again, what a race we've seen today. If you're just joining us as we roll into this last hour, it was Caleb Russell got the hole shot. Literally, Caleb and Thad came together off the start right before the hole shot strike. Thad Duvall went down. Not only did he go down, he went down hard. He got up slow, and when he tried to fire his bike back up, it took him probably 10-15 seconds to get the machine fired back up. Well, everyone had taken off at that particular point. He gets finally rolling. Caleb's out front, and just a little ways into that lap, Caleb gets stuck. And the entire class gets by, including Thad Duvall. And before you know it, Thad Duvall's up there in the front of the pack and works his way into the lead position. Caleb works his way back up fifth, fourth, third, now up to second place position, literally closing in on Thad Duvall just a couple of seconds behind. So, wow, what an eventful day today. In the meantime of all that, Ben Kelly was leading this thing, was rolling a blistering fast pace, had an overall time adjustment, was leading by 22 seconds after 2 laps of racing. After 3 laps of racing, he still had an 11-second lead. Lap 4, though, we just got the report, went down a couple of times, lost a little bit of that time, and that allowed Josh Toth to get around and took him out of contention for the overall win for the moment. But he's still back there knocking on the door with Josh Toth for that overall third-place position. So we might see Ben Kelly on the podium 2 races in a row still.
Yeah, it's been a great racing today because we've got battles in the XC1 class, XC2 class. Plus, for the the young kids are mixing up for the overall. But you said that had a bad start, but he whole shot at the XC2 row, no problem.
Yeah, yes, he did. He had the lead in the XC2. That is for sure. Actually, he had a really good start as far as starts go. It was just whenever he and Thad came, or excuse me, when he and Caleb came together, and there was nothing intentional. I watched it. And I know that Caleb it was just an inadvertent thing that happened, but he went down hard, and it definitely made you wonder what was going to happen today. Speaking of good races, FMF XE3 125 Pro-Am class right now, that gap is now stretched out between Ansley and Alex Teagard in 31 seconds. So looks like Jesse's really starting to find his flow out here today. Cody Barnes running in the number 3 spot on that beta under the direction of the great Rodney Smith out there. This kid, I think we can expect to see bigger and better. I mean, we've always expected and seen some good things out of him, but wow, I think now it's going to be some major things coming on the plate for him.
And that's the great thing about some of the champions we're seeing out there with Rodney Smith, Randy Hawkins, Steve Hatch. Those guys have so much knowledge, been there, done that. So it's not like, when your dad knows, like Jeff Russell could tell Caleb, but hey, you're my dad, you don't know what you're talking about. But the young kids, if they listen, and they can improve so much quicker because the knowledge is out there, and And they've got the experience, and it's awesome.
And you're absolutely right. And who's not going to listen to a great champion like Rodney Smith? And, you know, Rodney's got another rider out there, Mike Witkowski, that's riding on that beta team as well. And that team they're really building a team over there. I mean, Rodney is really putting his nose to the grindstone, and this year has been a great building year for them, and not only by riders but also mechanics. They're building a team of mechanics over there, and actually this week's mechanic feature is on Beta USA.
Well, like I used to kid Rodney, I said, Rodney, I've taught you everything you know about off-road racing, but I haven't taught you everything I know about off-road racing.
Well, let's see if Rodney can share his information with the mechanics over there.
What's up, guys? It's Jameson Grider here with Beta USA. It's 2018 here at GNCC. Well, arena cross, I mean, to be honest, there's not a whole lot of work. I mean, the work in the GNCC is definitely a lot more because you get more, you know, you're tearing stuff up. Arena cross, I mean, you only have to wash your bike hardly because it's just a little bit of dirt. Yeah, so, I mean, we just started with Cody. We just signed him, obviously, with the 125. So this is our second race on it. So after this, before Ironman, I'll freshen up the top end. And basically, you know, go through the motor. We don't really tear apart motors. We don't have like a specific motor guy. We all do it in-house. So whatever bike you're working on, that's the motor you're working on. Another bike, I got a 250 RR. You know, it's like every 3 races. We try not to go over 10 hours on the top end. So, I mean, other than that, there's not a whole lot we switch out. Besides, you know, in the summer, we'll swap out a motor and do a whole complete motor. The betas are really good. I mean, they're bulletproof if you ask me. I've ridden every bike there is, because I used to race back in the day as well. And working on these things, they're bulletproof. I mean, there's nothing that can hurt them. Well, compared to arena cross, supercross, I mean, those guys really don't have to ride a whole lot like these guys out here. I mean, you're going 3 hours straight, so I mean, it's just epic. It's epic.
And a great program building over there. Mark, you were talking, that guy right there actually used to work for KTM dealership down in Texas, and now moving up to the ranks of factory mechanic for Beta. That's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, that's great. You know, and that's another cool thing about this series. You know, used to be, you know, you worked on your bike during the week, you did this, you did that, you know, hopefully dragged your wife or somebody to pit for you on race day, and now it's so neat to see, you know, the support that these racers have so they can really develop their talents. It's just awesome to see what's happening.
Most certainly. About 14 minutes out, and we should be getting close to the 8-mile marker here for our leaders. Let's check in here. We'll see, I think Caleb Russell coming through here shortly. Not yet, but we're going to be watching for him to come through. We're looking right now at the mud, I want to say mud puddle. I don't know why I wanted to say mud puddle, but the infamous Powerline Park Powerline jump, and it is certainly turning into a big old mud puddle out there for those guys as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as each lap. And it has changed over the course of the last 2 hours 50. It's changed a lot today.
Yeah. That's why I kind of would like to beat Thad Duvall right now, because with some of the conditions we have out there, there's some mistakes going to be made. So I don't know how hard, and with Caleb with the championship on the line, I don't know how hard Caleb's willing to push. So Thad could be in a pretty good spot right now.
You're absolutely right. And we got some light stuck out here. That's and you know, this part of the day, you're going to start seeing this more and more after this 2-hour mark. I mean, it's something like, and I mentioned it last race, the 2-hour wall. There's a wall there. I mean, you know, an hour and a half, I think a lot of people hit it, but it really hits you at 2 hours. Even the best of the best, I think, start feeling it at that point.
Well, you know, most of our local hare scrambles are all 2 hours, so you get that feel. You know what kind of pace you can go for 2 hours. So people run that pace at a race like this, and then the 2 hours comes and they see the 2-lap board and they're like, uh-oh. So I think that's why you see a lot of that out there.
And I think that's why we'll probably see more and more people get stuck. And I allude to that because if that happens, that could end up changing things up quite a bit. If lap riders get in the way, they could certainly change the face of the race real quick. And we are waiting on the leaders. We're out near the 8-mile marker right now. Still laters. I know he's giving me a hard time. I can't always speak, and if you had not pointed that out, no one would have noticed.
I didn't hear a thing.
I like to think that anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, we are waiting on the laters to make their way here through the 8-mile mark. You see what I did there, right?
Yes, I got it.
We see other riders coming through. Nathan Saving, I think, is coming through right now. He's the 351 four-stroke A light second place ride. Gary Basang was through on the 401 Vet B class ride. He was second place. We saw Paul Petrin checking in just ahead of that. He was fourth place in the 250A class. There are some of those guys checking in. Now, all these guys have those new transponders on that are picking up. We are slowly working eventually we'll have every name that comes through there, but we've got a really neat scoring system. Well, you see this. I mean, we can see where the leaders are, where they should be. They should be right here at this 8-mile marker here about right now. Tyler Bowling checking in. He was Yamaha rider there, it looks like, at the 8-mile marker, 250B class.
Yeah, the technology is amazing. You know the way you can watch races, and that helps with the strategy too. It helps the guys in the pits, make better calls, and so they can give the riders better information, so they can make better judgments when they're out there on the racetrack and make things happen.
Well, still no sign of our leaders just yet here at the 8-mile marker. They are due in at the finish line for a white flag in about 10.5 minutes. That will put us right at the 30-minute mark away from seeing checkers fly. And here come the leaders now. We see Caleb Russell checking in, and we see also, I believe, that there's Thad Duvall checking in. So Caleb got around Thad in that last pit stop there, and they haven't really changed much as far as that goes. Thad came out about that far behind out of the pits, and he's just laying in wait. Now I got to wonder, since things worked out well for him, and you talked about Caleb maybe not being as willing to push it as much with the championship on the line like that. But talking with Thad, what he learned and what he did to Stu Baylor, you have to wonder if maybe he's going to try to turn the tides on Caleb Russell. Will Caleb know what he's doing, and will he be able to defend it if he does do that?
Yeah, you don't win as many championships as Caleb has by not being a smart racer. And he and Thad, they've raced each other since they were kids in this series. Both of them youth champions, moved up through the ranks. And Caleb knows every trick in the book. Thad knows every trick in the book. So, like I said, it could just come down to that one thing where a lapped rider or the course changed out there, and the line that was good the last lap now, is a little deeper. And that's where I know Caleb's going to give it everything he's got. I mean, if he backs down just a fraction, that'd be as much as he's willing to give up. But, Thad could just sit back there, and if that, like I said, that one rut's a little deeper than it was the lap before, Thad sees that, he can make the adjustment. If Caleb has already committed to that line, if there's a lapped rider in there that holds Caleb up for just that fraction, that's all Caleb needs, or Thad needs right now.
So watching our board here, I believe we should be here soon. Josh Toth and Ben Kelly should be making their way here near the 8-mile marker. I have to wonder if that gap is starting to stretch out much more than that minute that it was going to take for Thad and Caleb to get back into the number 1 and 2 position overall.
And Thad and Caleb, they've been up front for so many years. They know the pace they need to run, and they'll know the kids are back there. So I can't imagine the Ben and Josh getting on the top 2 steps of the podium at the pace that the front leaders are going.
Rightio.
But it's not that they're not going to try.
Grant Baylor check. There's Josh Toth. Grant Baylor has gotten physically around Josh Toth now. I don't think he. I thought that Toth was around Grant, and yeah, they were last lap at this particular point. So Grant's around Josh Toth. He's around Ben Kelly. Ben Kelly's running second in class now. Oh wow, that puts Grant Baylor in third in the XC1 class. If I'm not, let me double check that. You've got Thad Duvall, or actually Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall. Stu Baylor's out of it because Grant got around him. So now Grant is third in the XC1 class. Man, this kid. I don't know what it is about Grant. It seems like the longer the season goes on, if we had a 20-round series, I don't know if anybody could beat Grant Baylor at the end of it because he gets faster as the years goes on.
Yeah, Grant, he, and it's one of those things you always kid everybody that the younger brother's always faster.
Yeah.
And I'm sure those two growing up together, they've battled for years, and nothing probably means more to you than beating your brother.
Well, and I can imagine right now, Grant's put 38 seconds on his brother, so he's got to be feeling pretty stoked about that right now as that drops Stu Baylor off to the 4th place position in class, and Ben Kelly is physically ahead of him still, as is Josh Toth. Those two riders still, I'm going to say within 8 or 10 seconds of each other. Maybe a little bit tighter there. We're going to have to wait until we see whenever they come back into the next shot. I missed how tight they were visually whenever they came through this 8-mile marker there just a moment ago. But we continue to watch. We're going to get one more update, I believe, on our top 3 podiums here in a little bit on the amateurs. So if you're waiting on that, stick around. We'll update you who's in podium positions on that. We are at the 8-mile marker here in St. Clairsville, Ohio at the Powerline Park GNCC. Joined right now with King of the Blackwater, multi-time, 4-time winner of the Blackwater itself, and GNCC race winner Mark Hyde, who is, again, part of the Ride Orange KTM team. They take motorcycles all over the nation, and, again, keep plugging it because I want people to be able to go up there and take advantage. I want it to be the best demo ride you've had in a long time, man.
Actually, the demo program started at Crow Canyon. That's where it all started 10 years ago, and actually 11 years ago. And it is the biggest demo we do every year. Last year we had over 400 people show up and ride our bikes, and we'll have all our XC, XCW, and SX models. We have a motocross track and an off-road loop. So we bring a truck full of orange bikes, and it's a good time.
I might become the Crow Canyon next weekend, man. That sounds like a fun time to me for sure.
Yeah, and it's Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 4 both days. You got to be 18 years of age, and you have to have all your own riding gear.
Well, I'm a little old then. I'm almost.
No, you got to be at least 18.
Oh, at least
18 and up.
Okay.
18 up. And bring a valid photo government-issued ID, and we're good.
Now, as you look at this right here, I know that Blackwater, it was one of those races where it was sections. There were bad sections, and there were fast road sections. There were bad sections.
No, there was bad sections, and then there were worse sections.
Okay, yeah. Now, looking at this right here, does any of this bring black? I mean, we see black mud there, and we see there. Look at that. That's what Blackwater was like right there.
Yeah. No, Blackwater was awesome. You went to that race, and you figured if I can finish, I'm going to do good. That was the main goal, was to finish that race. That mud hole that these guys got today, that would actually be an easier section at Blackwater.
And this right here, I mean, the 93 River Crossing, it didn't look like a tough thing. I mean, if you looked at it visually, but it obviously turned out to be one of the toughest obstacles on the track.
Well, when you have the spectators throwing buckets of water on the hill before you get there, it makes it a little more challenging. And the big thing was the river before you got to the hill climb was a bunch of rocks, so you had to manage your speed right because it got deep. You went too fast, you drowned your bike out. You went too slow, you didn't have enough speed to make the hill. So it was, but the great thing was there was a ton of spectators at 93 River Crossing, so they would get you to the top one way or the other.
They wanted to see you work for it, didn't they?
Oh yeah, if you didn't try, beer cans were coming your way.
Wow. And I mean, it just looks so brutal back then, man. I mean, look. I mean, I guess maybe it looks as brutal to some people these days, but I mean, it does. It just looks so much more brutal that back then than what it is now.
It was, and you know, your bikes weren't as good. But today's bikes are so good. I mean, the suspension, the brakes, you know, yeah, like I said, it's bringing back a lot of memories right here, seeing these guys. Look at that guy, he's all excited. But yeah, because you had everything. I mean, you had mud holes, you had river crossings, you had the bogs, hills,
rocks.
Rocks. You know, you really didn't have a break. It was just, you get through one section, and like, okay, how am I going to get through this next section? And you know, you couldn't pre-ride everything. It was like a 25-mile loop. You did 4 laps, and you know, it was like I said, I loved the race because it was just a challenge, and you know, not only did you have to go fast, but you had to pick good lines, and I was fortunate enough that was always one of my strong suits.
It's hard to believe that turned into this, you know what I mean, to this great championship series that we have 40-some years later like this. I mean, just it really tells a great tale of, I mean, everybody involved, from the promoters, the local area, to the riders that participated, and it really tells a good tale of what this means and how eager people are to be out here, I think.
Yeah, you know, and Dave Coombs and Rita, you got to give them all the credit in the world, because Dave put that on, and the way it evolved, and you know, we got the magazines, because back then, you know, the magazines, they'd only cover the West Coast racing, and that was the one East Coast race that they started to cover, and they came back and wrote it, and those guys like never made a lap. You know, they'd be buried in super hunky. I think he was midnight before he got back the first time he rode it.
Wow.
So, you know, to have a race of that magnitude, because, you know, the movie On Any Sunday with the Elsinore Grand Prix, you had that, because we got to race through town every lap, which I thought, you know, watching On Any Sunday as a kid, to ride through town every lap was just so much fun. And, you know, doing wheelies and all that fun stuff that you did. And
felt like Steve McQueen, didn't you?
Actually, yeah. And,
hey, checking out the things going on here. Trevor Bollinger has checked in. Actually, Josh Strang checked in at the 8-mile marker in 4th place. It looks like he was just barely ahead of Trevor Bollinger, who is in 5th. Ricky Russell now still holding on to a 6th place position. They're about 5 miles before the finish, so we'll catch up with those guys again at the finish and see how they're doing here shortly. But that's how things are starting to track right now, Mark, as we watch this. And I'm trying to look at physically on the racetrack where our leaders are. We're about 2 minutes out from seeing them come in for actually a minute now from seeing these guys come in for a white flag. And again, Caleb Russell back into the lead of this one. If you're watching timing and scoring at home, it says Thad Duvall, but remember, Caleb got around Thad Duvall after Thad had to stop for a quick pit stop. We discussed the fuel mileage there, and earlier this season how Thad tried to stretch things and it didn't work on him, didn't work so well for him. So he's gone to the fuel strategies of pitting a couple of times in certain circumstances and situations. And why? Because Thad uses more fuel than other folks do. And we talked, there's a science to it, like we say, and it depends on how you ride the bike where your fuel mileage lies, that's for sure. It's good to have that kind of information coming, and good to have Mark Hyde here in the booth with us here on Racer TV. Mark, I'm sure you probably want to get out and go check out some things. I know Johnny Gallagher, he's back. He looks like he's probably been watching some pretty cool things, going to have some pretty good updates. But again, I might see you next weekend, Crow Canyon, Saturday and Sunday, the Ride Orange KTM demo ride. Thanks for being a big part of it. You're a legend, man.
Well, Rodney,
true royalty in GNCC.
Well, thanks for having me. Like I said, I was at this series at the beginning, and what the Coombs family has done with this series is just amazing. And just see what it's grown into, and hopefully we can have some, in my book, hopefully we can have some bunch of KTMs on the top here at the end of the day.
It's looking that way, my friend.
Thanks, Rodney.
Thank
Great seeing you.
Mark Hyde, and again, King of the Blackwater, joining us here as 514, Stu Baylor making his way in. That is your, again, I think, 4th place rider, actually 5th place rider overall, but he is 4th in class behind his brother Grant Baylor now. So that's the changes that we're seeing. No, actually, it might be 4th place still. I get a little confused, yeah, because actually Grant was 3rd, Stu was 4th, and then we had, yes, that was the 739 in the 5th place position. So Caleb and Thad working their way out of the finish line barrels there as 1.4 seconds separate these two right now. Man, 29:58 lap time for Caleb Russell, 30 minutes and 2 seconds for Thad Duvall. It is close-knit racing, these guys. And Johnny, you've been out a booth for a little while, and I know you're not the type of person that goes back and just chills. You've been several places on this racetrack. What's happening out there?
Yeah, I've been hunting around and checking out some of the sections down below the start area where it's pretty soft, and it's definitely getting rutted out down there. You know, these guys are really having a push just to make it through some of these tougher sections. As we see Caleb Russell grabbing a water bottle, Thad Duvall drops his, so they're all out in that same corner trying to get their drink bottles. Caleb Russell gets his, Thad drops his, and he didn't look super pumped about it. So I think they're probably going to be trying to catch him on the backside when they come back through, down where I was talking about. It gets pretty soft down in there, and that's the section they're coming up to. If you notice, we've seen a lot of shakeups soon after the finish line area, and that is where those guys are headed right now. Like I said, just really soft down in there. The ruts are getting real deep, and if you pick the wrong one, sometimes they're so long there can be a lapper up at the far end, and you don't even see him. It's that far along. We're back out. We're watching here. Caleb Russell working his way around some lap traffic, shadowed by the 989 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna of Thad Duvall. These guys are just on the hammer, and boy, this looks like the action we had seen earlier this season. It seems like the last, well, I guess we've only had one race back from break, and Caleb spent about as much time on the ground as he did going forward. We didn't get to see a lot of great battles between these two. We saw some battles between Stu Baylor and Thad Duvall, and some, definitely many other battles out on the racetrack. But to see these two back banging bars, this is how the season started off strong at the beginning of this year with these two heavyweight fighters back and forth, trading punches, and now they're back to it here today, potentially to settle this championship for 2018.
Yes, indeed, and that's what is it, third or better? That's all Caleb has to finish to clinch the championship title here this weekend.
Speaking of third, there is third place. Grant Baylor, he has checked in and completed lap number 5. That white flag is waving. That looks to be one of the KTM duo. It doesn't matter which one it is. It is Toth, because I can tell by the riding style that Kelly is the next one through right now.
And Toth checks in not only fourth physically, but on time adjustment. He has gotten into that minute of Grant Baylor. So now Josh Toth is third place overall after time adjustments. By the way, Ben Kelly is fourth place overall. Grant Baylor at a 2-minute and 18-second deficit between he and Thad Duvall in second place physically on the racetrack, has dropped to a fifth place overall in time adjustments now. So if you look at elapsed time right now, wow, there's about 30 seconds, 40 seconds ahead of Toth. Toth and Kelly are about 40 seconds ahead of Grant Baylor, so he's got some time to make up if he's going to get on that podium today.
There is the 514 of Stu Baylor working his way through, and that machine is just puffing white smoke. It is either overheated or he is starting to lose something in that engine. That is not the kind of white smoke you want to be dealing with at this point in a race.
No, not at all. And especially, you know, Stu, mentally, I'm sure he doesn't want to have to deal with that either. He's already went down once today, and obviously that was that set him back quite a bit. I mean, that took a lot of wind out of his sails. Whether he did something to the bike, did something to himself, who knows? I mean, I know that you know, it didn't look like he really hit anything too hard. He did change the glove, so we know he got the mud
that
off.
right there is that's a sign. I mean, if you're willing to take the time to change a glove, you know you have everything absolutely completely coated in mud, and you're just unable to hang on to that motorcycle. And the thing is, it's not just getting a new glove or wiping your hand off doesn't fix your issue, because most times, even if you wipe that grip and you wipe your hand, the back of your pants is all going to be covered in mud, your seat's completely covered in mud, your feet are covered in mud, and your foot pegs are. So all of your contact points with that motorcycle now have slippery, nasty, wet Ohio clay in between you and them, and it's basically like trying to hang on to a greased pig. And now that's your 60 horsepower, 250-pound machine that you're trying to hold on to. Here we see our leaders on screen, Rodney.
Oh, yes we do. That's a real hard stutter there for those guys whenever they hit that. But the thing about it is, I think everybody knows what to expect coming through there. Russell's made his way through. Also, Thad Duvall's made his way through. So next we wait for physically Grant Baylor, who was 2 minutes and 18 seconds behind. Again, he's got to really pick up that pace. He's got about a 40-second difference on elapsed time now that those two boys from the XC2 class have been able to muster up on him. So still going to be one of those hard days to get a top 3 on the XC1 class. And here we go, again an XC, and it's been a while since we've seen it. I mean, we see it every once in a while, but we've seen them get into the contention several times this year. But if memory serves me correct, I don't think we've seen it yet this year until the last race, and we're looking at it 2 races in a row now.
Yeah, I believe that was the last time that we had, or the first time this year at least, that we had seen an overall podium out of that XC2 class. I know it happened last year at Unadilla. There was 2 riders, I believe, on the overall podium last year. Wow, he saved it. Boy, that got real squirrely. He shot real far right trying to get a clear line. But yeah, so Ben Kelly and Josh Toth, they're also fighting over that XC2 championship.
Yeah.
But more so, they're fighting over that Northeastern pride. You know, each one of them came in. I'm sure Ben Kelly was kind of content to be in the shadows like he was at the beginning of the year, but once he started winning, the limelight finds you real quick, and now it's Josh Toth that wants his spotlight back. You know, he's the champ. He wants to try and defend that title, but every time that Ben Kelly is able to defeat Josh Toth, that points gap just opens up further and further, and unfortunately for Josh Toth, that gap has just been continually getting bigger the last couple of races.
You wonder what kind of strain that puts on a friendship and a relationship, you know?
You know, I don't know. It seems
they seem to be handling it.
Yeah,
well.
I think they are close enough, and you know, each one of them I think is genuinely happy for the other's success. But at the same time, because of them sharing a class and sharing a ride and sharing co-sponsors and everything, there's only so much, so many contracts, so much money to go around, all that kind of stuff. They're kind of fishing in the same pond. So when you see your buddy catch a big fish, you're like excited for him. But at the same time, you're like, man, I wish that was me that caught that bigger fish. So,
right.
And there is Caleb Russell working his way through. And no, I'm sorry, that was Josh Toth. So Toth back out front in that XC2 class.
Yeah.
I was going to say Caleb's coming back through again, but number one,
no,
KTM,
that happened to me earlier
just
today,
the wrong color background. So they're still glued to each other. And yeah, you know, to answer that question in short, I could definitely see how it would put a strain on a friendship, but those guys seem pretty close. I think they're happy for each other. On the track, they want to beat each other. Off the track, they're happy to see both having success.
22 minutes or so before we'll be seeing a checker flag in this one, and Caleb Russell is trying to work his way toward that, put the seal on the deal, and an explanation point on his 6th championship title. And to do it here in his home state of Ohio, I think would be a pretty good feat. You know, we as spectators and fans like to see it go down to the wire, but I'm sure guys like to get them wrapped up early, and I'm sure Caleb likes to do it because he is in his home state. A lot of folks from down around the Kingston area are up here,
Look at how much smoke Stu Baylor's bike is putting
it's
out.
still doing. I mean, it's getting worse.
Now he's oh boy.
Nuh-uh.
He's going around the mud hole.
This is some. Wow, I mean, he has really shifted gears. I think he's just gone into survival mode. He just wants to finish this race right now.
Yeah, I don't know if he was wow, he is like off in the woods bouncing over stumps. Yeah, I mean, he lost 25 seconds, 30 seconds right there.
That's crazy. Wow, what? And like I say, I mean, everything went downhill for him at this jump a couple of laps ago, and it is just this last hour is again taking its toll on him. I mean, we've seen this happen 2 weeks ago. It's the last hour, but you know, I think it's just maybe coincidence and circumstance, honestly, because I know he's digging deep, and I don't think conditioning has anything to do with it at all. I think again, circumstance and chance out here. I mean, he oftentimes seems to run into the wild things that derail you.
Yeah, you know, and even at the last race, you know, he seemed super disappointed after the race, and I was kind of shocked. I mean, he put up such a good fight with Thad Duvall all day long, and then after the race, it seemed like Stu was just really upset with himself and maybe just putting too much pressure on himself, because he came out here today, was running great, was up in the contention for a win, and then still holding strong in a podium position even after Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall were able to open up a little bit of a gap on him, and then that one big mistake came, and from then it's just been wheels off the bus kind of stuff, you know?
20 minutes left in this race. Actually, a little less than 20 minutes left. Caleb Russell leading Thad Duvall. Josh Toth looking for his first podium from the XC2 250 Pro class here in 2018. Will he be able to make it happen? Will Ben Kelly knock him off post, or will Grant Baylor find the speed he needs in 40 seconds before that checker flag flies? Stick around. GNCC Live continues right after this.
What is your passion? Hitting the perfect line, finding the perfect trail, routing the perfect adventure, or just living and breathing the moto life? Do you feel pride for a job well done after tackling a late night in the shop? Do you enjoy time spent with friends and family in the great outdoors? Spanning over 3 decades, one name has taken the lead for supplying the best powersport parts, accessories, and apparel to fuel your passion. One name that knows it goes beyond getting you the best prices, quickest shipping, or largest selection. One name that builds and innovates for our industry. One name that teaches, helps, and supports our fellow riders, racers, and organizations.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood.
That's why I
only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
for those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
We handle your races, your jumps, and your trails. Isn't it time you give your daily driver the same love? Amsoil Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard. Amsoil also offers a full family of ATV, UTV lubricants, giving you above and beyond fortification for your weekday and weekend vehicles. Amsoil, devoted to protection.
eye-opening. Being from Australia, I guess our national series may have 150 to 200 riders, and you come here, any Australians come here, and they're just amazed at how many people and how big the series is. So I would say eye-opening, but now being here for so long, I would say gnarly. So, I mean, we do it because we get paid to do it. But man, I see some of these people, just the average punter coming out every race, every weekend. I got some friends from North Carolina. He's raced every race this year, and I'm like, you're crazy. It's a man's sport. I mean, even though there's women's class in the morning, they're tough as well. You know, it's I don't know. Just GNCC racing is gnarly. You gotta be hardcore motorcycle rider to come and race these things. I'm Josh Strang, and you're watching GNCC live on RacerTV.com.
And welcome back to GNCC Live from St. Clairsville, Ohio, in the Powerline Park GNCC. Round 11 of 12 as we're wrapping things up. Checkers due out here in about 15 minutes or so. And, of course, we've got...
Speaking of wrapping things up, they're already getting that starting line reconditioned for next year.
Yep, starting to do a little bit of grade work out there and get reclaim work started already here on a Sunday evening. Caleb Russell leading Thad Duvall, Josh Toth in the number 3 spot, Big Kelly in 4th, Grant Baylor in 5th. Yes, that is XC2 on the podium again, and if you're just joining us, Big Kelly led about half this race or more of it. On an overall adjusted time, had a little bit of a problem and has dropped back to the 5th place overall position in the meantime, but still right on the heels of his teammate Josh Toth there. And of course, with that, you know, we got all these great pro riders and so forth out here, but you know, we've got a lot of great amateur riders. We talk about lap traffic and other classes and things like that, and well, there's a lot of great talent that's working their way up through the ranks right now. And of course, we like to highlight some of those amateurs every once in a while. We call them our Amateur of the Week, and this week's Amateur of the Week, Dylan Ely.
Yeah, my name is Dylan Ely. I run Open A in the afternoon class, 4th row. We've been racing the GNCC for 4 years now, but we've been racing on and off for about 6 now. T. Lee is my uncle. We own a oil field company, and he uses it right off for everybody. And then picked up Stuart and Grant this year to race with us, and been racing every weekend. It's just a lifestyle anymore. Like me and my little cousin Ty, we get out of school halfway through so we can go down south and train with the Baylor brothers. They're good help to both of us, and it's just been it's a big family what we have. They're big brothers. They're pushing us, and it's just they're big help on my team. You know what I mean? Just good to have them there and help each other out. Should be good though. I mean, it feels good. Good weather to race in. Not gonna get too hot, but it's gonna be slick out there.
Alrighty, picking back up the action now here, and of course, as we roll through, Thad Duvall still leading this, or excuse me, Caleb Russell still leading this. Thad Duvall in the number 2 spot. Grant Baylor is 3rd in class, but again, he is 5th overall right now on time adjustments.
Yeah, we see that mud just continues to get slicker and slicker. The fans are, have migrated away from there. Once you saw Caleb and Thad come through, and then the XC2 leaders, it seems, there's almost nobody left down there, maybe a dozen or so people. But just a few moments ago, there was hundreds, and earlier today, even thousands of people down there. So these guys are kind of on their own now to pick their lines. These guys that are coming through, are they going to take a chance and make the jump or go around? We did see Andrew DeLong just came through, just not too far ahead of him. There were some more front runners in that XC3 or XC2 class. And we haven't seen those guys here in a bit, but we do know it is still the front 2 of Toth and Kelly that are throwing down some amazing lap times.
Well, we got about 4.5 minutes before we'll see our leaders back in shot. Let's take a look at some of our top 3 in our amateur classes right now. So we start with the Open A class. Evan Earl still leading in the Open A class. 3 minutes and 5 seconds now over the 370 of Landon Bruner, and Bryce Coster, the 712. He is your 3rd place position. Next class we take a look at 258 class. JoJo Bowden out of East Amherst, New York. The 444 is leading. 2nd place, the 414. Brewer Conley from Lexington, South Carolina. Minute and a half gap there with the 8:11 of Simon Johnson, who got the whole shot in this class early out of Bennington, Vermont, in the 3rd place position. Checking in next with the 208 class, Zachary Davidson out of Iron Station, North Carolina, the 199 with a 1-minute lead over the 281 of Michael Beeler Jr. out of Waterford Works, New Jersey. Joe Marsh, the 39 machine out of Indianola, Pennsylvania, another 3 minutes back in the number 3 spot. 4-stroke A lights class top 3. It's Brody Johnson, the 235 from Landrum, South Carolina, with a 2-minute and 43-second lead over the 258 of Bolton B. Roth out of Fairtown, North Carolina. Then it's Michael DeLosa, only 2 seconds off pace right now. The 66 machine out of Gillette, PA, is trying to vie for that number 2 spot, as these two only about 6 seconds difference in their last lap time. Next class we look at, the Junior AB 25-plus class. Andrew Boggs, the 62 from Masontown, West Virginia, a 6-minute lead over Tyler Bruton. Tyler out of Troutman, North Carolina, got the whole shot in this one. I think he's got about every whole shot this year in that class on the 64. The 419 of Nick Mellinger out of Oakland, Maryland, rounds out the top 3. Your Vet A 30-plus class, Andrew Matusik, the 542 from Franklin, Georgia, 3-minute lead now with the 42 of Sam Forrester from Elkton, Maryland. Nathan Allring out of Cincinnati, Ohio, the 369, another minute 25 back in 3rd. Now the Senior A 40-plus class we take a look at, and that is John Remington. He was 3rd at last check, so we see after 4 laps, he's checked in with 4 laps now, and 2 minutes and 10 seconds behind a lap ago was Frank Messina, so it looks like Shotgun has really started unloading the barrel there, man. I mean, he took a couple of shots. He's up to 1st now, and we'll see what kind of a gap he's going to have going on. Leaders on screen right there.
Rodney. We got Thad Duvall out front, taking a long look back, and unless we miss Caleb Russell, he has opened up one heck of a gap here all of a sudden.
Yeah, and last check, wasn't Caleb out front of Thad when we last saw those guys?
He was, and unless we miss Caleb in this shot, he is way back, folks.
Well, hang on here. Let me check. I'll look. Caleb's coming right now. So Caleb has dropped back to the number 2 position, it looks like.
And his whole left side is covered in mud. Caleb Russell got himself into some mud somewhere. Looks like he lost a good bit of time there to Thad Duvall.
Oh, heartbreaker there. As we look real quick at the next class in B class racing. Let's keep an eye out there, Johnny, and keep us up to date there as we go to Drew Norris leading the Open B class out of Blacklick, a 4:13 lead over Evan Young, the 230 from Brewston Mills, West Virginia. Jacob Bards, the 502 from Logan, Ohio, is 3rd. Next class, 250B, Cole Whitmer, the 518 from Amity, Pennsylvania, over Ian Flynn, the 422 from Greensboro, PA, and Benjamin Bluon, the 586 out of Canada, rounds out the top 3. The 200B class, Trevor Maley back out front. The moto guy's been bouncing around. He got the whole shot, dropped back to 2nd. Now he's around Colby Davis, the 607 in 2nd out of Berkshire, New York, and 3rd place is Tanner Kerpman, the 358. By the way, Maley's in for 4, waiting on the rest of the field to check in 2 and 3. In those positions. 4-stroke B lights class, Mac Reimer out of Saxonburg, PA. He's in with 4 laps complete now. Jake Easler, he had a 1 minute and 46-second lead over the 714 out of Flat Rock, North Carolina. And TJ Fine, the 680 from Bell Vernon, Pennsylvania, nearly 9 minutes back in 3rd. Wow, some big separation going on there. Bet B class, Matt Modick out of Newberry, Ohio, a 4 minute and 12-second lead over the 911 of Ben Conaway from Howard, Ohio, and the 372 of Jimmy Pruder out of Dayton, Ohio, rounds out the top 3. Ben Conaway, I believe, got the whole shot in that Bet B class today. In Senior B class, Jason Stickley, the 411 from McDonald, PA, Tillman McDaniel, the 353 from Lexington, Kentucky, and 2nd. There's only 17 seconds separating those two, and then another 48 seconds back to the 3rd place rider, the 183 of Devin Ferguson from Knoxville, Tennessee. And that is your amateur update of the overall top 3, and we are waiting on 3rd place right now here at the 8-mile marker, Johnny.
We're waiting on 3rd place, and we're waiting for the battle for 3rd place. Physically on the track, Grant Baylor will be the next rider through, and there he is. So Grant Baylor at 2 hours, 49 minutes, 50 seconds when he reaches those ruts at the end. So he needs to pull 1 minute on Josh Toth and Ben Kelly if he wants to try and preserve that 3rd place overall position, which he is physically running right now. We'll wait and see exactly what that is. Right now we're at a little over 10 seconds.
And just to elaborate on that minute gap, and you think, oh, wow, that's going to be tough to do. And under most cases and circumstances,
new leader in XC2. There he is. Well, new back to the old leader.
Yeah.
Ben Kelly back out front, the 530 KTM machine. And now we'll wait and we'll watch. Wow, same thing that we saw just a moment ago when we last saw Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell. They were wheel to wheel. Suddenly Thad Duvall emerges with a large lead. Same thing looks like it's happened in XC2 in that section. Something must be going on back in those woods, Rodney, because Ben Kelly now has a big lead on Josh Toth.
And we've seen this happen a couple of different times. And remember, I mentioned that Caleb had gotten into some trouble on that first lap in a mud hole. I have to wonder if maybe it's the same mud hole. Maybe he fell down in it out there a little bit ago. And if that's the case, is that the same area of track where everybody seems to be things happening? Because we've seen in this a lap or two ago when we've seen the change in the XC2 class. There is Josh Toth. Josh had came, and last time we saw it was Ben Kelly out front. Then they came through this section, and that's where the lead had changed. So again, you're right. That section of racetrack, that last little section of racetrack leading into this 8-mile mark, is really turning the tides at this race today.
Yeah, it's taken our wheel-to-wheel battles in both the XC1 and XC2 class and turned them into upwards of 30 seconds or more. Is what we were looking at there. But one thing that is for sure watching that time right now, Ben Kelly has for sure got Grant Baylor handled on overall time. If you do the elapsed time, he's physically 4th overall, but he will be 3rd overall if he can maintain things to that close. Right now, he was less than 30 seconds behind Grant Baylor. He only needs to be within that minute.
Jesse Ansley, by the way, leader of the FMF XC3 125 class, has moved into a top 20 overall position. He is now 18th overall, and as we look back at our top amateur ride, a non-XC 1, 2, or 3 class ride, it is a 250A class rider in 26th place. JoJo Bowden, the 444 from East Amherst, New York, I guess would be considered our top amateur right now. Evan Earl, the 101, running 28th overall right now, would be 2nd overall amateur. And Brewer Crawley, who's 2nd in the 250A class, is 29th overall in the 414 from Lexington, South Carolina. He would be 3rd overall as far as top amateurs are concerned right now. But looks like there's still some room for change in that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Those guys are really working hard. They're trying to get that, not only the wins within their class, but that overall amateur is a coveted award. There's a lot of amateur riders out there. There's upwards of 300 to 400 riders out there at times, and out of that, all but maybe 50 of those guys are amateurs. So out of those guys, to be the top amateur, that's a pretty good day, and that's what those guys are vying for right now.
That is. And, of course, right now we're watching what is taking place here. Wondering what conditions were like a year ago. Let's take a look at highlights from the 2017 Powerline Park GNCC.
Look at all those umbrellas. It was raining.
Yes, it was. And look at that. Grant Baylor got the early lead in that with Ricky Russell, and Josh Strang hot on his heel. There was Caleb Russell. He was about a 4th or 5th place start. A little bit different flow to the start last year than what we saw here this year. But as we check in, we see that the race progressed throughout the day. Was that Thad out front in that one?
No, Josh just popped in the middle there. That was actually Grant Baylor that was still out front.
Oh, okay. That's
and
right.
Still leading.
There he is, yeah. He had a pretty good run going here, obviously, last year. So this might be a good indication for him. He might be looking to hopefully redeem himself and get back up there into that podium position finish. And, I was talking about a few moments ago, Stu Baylor talked about how fast and how it seems like that the fastest laps that Grant Baylor turns is usually on the last lap. And that might play in his favor in that battle. I was going to mention that a few moments ago. And right here, it might play into his favor to get him back up into a podium contention like we saw him racing in last year.
Yeah, absolutely. And this was the story of this race last year was the mud jump. I mean, guys were coming in and landing so hard, bouncing. You can see that's I think that was one of our XC2 riders. We had riders that were just coming completely off their bikes like that right there. I mean, this really was whoa, I don't remember that one. He was hung by his pants there. And then this is the alternate. You can either go too long and crash or go too short, and you end up stuck in the mud there. So it was quite a challenge for those guys last year. And Caleb Russell, aiming to get to the front, you can see was being pursued hotly by Jordan Ashburn. He did not want to give up on this one and was riding very, very well.
Right, yeah. Or Ashburn had an amazing day here last year. And I expect that, even though we haven't seen – we've had a couple of races where he was kind of close to that grandeur, but I'm almost having to think that some growing pains for Jordan Ashburn this year are going to result in some pretty phenomenal things in 2019.
And here it is, folks. No front fender. Looking like he was just glad that one could be over. Caleb Russell wraps up another GNCC XC1 title here at Powerline Park.
And it looks like we're on the way to doing just exactly that. Championship number 6. Like we said, working on that Eddie Joe Lojack league, if you will, with 9 championships. He will surpass Rodney Smith. And, of course, Scott Summers with 5. And here comes Thad Duvall into the closing moments. We're still a couple minutes out from the finish line, about 2. But Thad Duvall seems to have a rather comfortable lead as he rolls toward the finish line here in these closing moments of the Powerline Park GNCC. There is...
Nope. That's a lapped rider.
Yeah, it looked like for a second it was going to be.
Yep. That was that's actually Chase Hayes, I believe, one of our 258 riders there, number 33. But, you know, Thad taking a look over through those chicanes. I'm sure he's been getting pit boards telling him that he's opened up that lead, but he wanted to see for himself. There is Caleb Russell stuck behind the bush, and now he pops out. He's working his way through these chicanes, and just a few miles away, as you said, Rodney, a few short minutes after a heck of a battle, him and Thad Duvall, if things end the way they are right now, Thad Duvall will notch another win. But the real big winner today may end up being Caleb Russell.
Most definitely, as he's looking at claiming championship number 6 here in the Grand National Cross Country Championship. And, of course, one step closer to that record of Eddie Lochak. As we said, it's going to be a tough one to top, especially with the competition is starting to firm up out there. But if anybody's going to be able to do it right now, it's going to be Caleb Russell, and it's going to take him another 3 years before we'll be able to figure out whether he can match that or not. But right now, we're waiting for the last couple of minutes so we can begin celebrations for both the guys. A very great run for Thad Duvall today, and back and forth. He and Caleb seemed to go, and he was there to capitalize on the mistakes, and he's going to take him right on home to the checker flag. And again, like we said, that's the winner here today, but the big winner likely, if Caleb continues and is able to hold on to a top 3 overall, will be him for the championship season, as again that will be number 6. We wait with bated breath, and we'll see here in just a few moments as we are 2 hours 55 minutes, actually 57 minutes into this. I need to update my computer, and 30-some seconds now. There he is.
There's Thad Duvall, folks. He's working his way through just 3 more corners, and he will be at the finish line in a waving checkered flag.
Here he is through the Amsoil chicane, through some lap traffic. Bad Thad Duvall notches another one up here in the great state of Ohio, as Thad Duvall will take the win here at the Powerline Park GNCC. Ripping that last tear off, and of course a sigh of relief.
And a celebratory panic grab.
Yes. And a big sigh of relief. That's a big weight off his shoulders. He knew coming into this one the championship had eluded him. It was all about wins, win bonuses. He's got the baby coming. He says if it don't come tomorrow, it'll be here on Monday. They're going to the doctor to make sure of that. So I know I seen Maggie down there. She was helping Pitt still, and I know that pretty exciting. Here he comes, folks. The man of the hour, the man of the league of his own right now. We're talking about Caleb Russell through the final few turns as he makes his way and writes another page of history in the GNCC Racing Journal. Caleb Russell is now and will be a 6-time GNCC champion as he closes this one out here today at Powerline Park GNCC. Both hands in the air. A sigh of relief is to him as well, as he's got that one in the history books. And wow, what a day, what a weekend, as we have seen so much taking place here. Champions being crowned yesterday. Kevin Cunningham, his 3rd 4x4 Pro Class win. We had Tracy Pickens with her 11th WXC championship title. Walker Fowler captures number 4 yesterday. Caleb Russell puts the seal on the deal for championship number 6 here in St. Clairsville. What a great way to leave such a great venue here in Ohio.
I tell you what, it is rare that you see Caleb Russell celebrate a 2nd place finish, but today it was about so much more than that. It's been a rough road these last couple of weeks for him, I know, and for him to come out here and be able to get the job done and clinch the championship, that is a very, very relieved man right there, and a very happy wife.
Yes, certainly. Did you see the little fist bump the crew gave him there?
Oh, yeah, Knuckles. Calls it Knuckles.
Knuckles. So he gave him Knuckles there, and so a little talking, that's just such, and that right there is a strong, healthy family right there. The whole family. I mean, the wife right there, they're talking about the race. I mean, he's talking to his wife about the race. I mean,
judging by the mannerisms and what it looked like he said, I think he explained exactly what happened on that last lap. And they were in a battle and some things went sideways, and Caleb kind of doesn't sound like he's super pumped with his own decision. Nothing there between him and Thad. Sounds like they had a great race, but he was not super super pumped on that last lap. But
All right,
hey, the
now
big
listen,
picture.
here's something interesting. Grant Baylor just checked in 1 minute and 29 seconds behind the leaders. Caleb Russell, anyway, when he came through. We're waiting on Josh Toth and Ben Kelly right now. Ben Kelly gotten back around Josh Toth. Now, what about this? Will they be on the podium? Will we see Ben Kelly consecutively third-place finishes here on the overall? We wait right now, as we said, Duval, Russell, and Grant Baylor have all checked in. And how long will it be before we see our next rider check in? According to timing and scoring right now. And according to timing and scoring and the overall, as everything adjusts and he rolls through the finish line barrel, Ben Kelly will post a third-place overall position here today. Elapsed time exactly 3 hours, 0.829, just under 3 hours and 1 second of racing for Ben Kelly. 2 hours, 57 minutes, 52 seconds for Thad Duval. 2 hours, 58 minutes, 43 seconds for Caleb Russell. What a great day. What a great battle. How much did Ben Kelly beat Grant Baylor by? 13 seconds. So, wow, he made up a lot of time, just too little too late there in that final lap of racing to maintain the overall third. But Grant does get third in class, which will yield him some points and some special things as well. So, wow, what a great day, Johnny. A recap on this one. Wow, a lot of things took place.
Absolutely, man. I mean, there's so many things going on here with the championship hanging in the balance, and also between looking at just what we had going on with the battle in that XC2 class, and we may possibly have. Oh, there we go. There's the celebration.
That's it. That's it. And looks like as they celebrate, Mikey Waynes is down and ready to go as well. Let's jump in there, Mikey, and get the celebrations rolling.
Well, I tell you what, Rodney, let me wash down this drink of champagne I just got. I was collateral. I'm not mad about it. It feels good. I'm glad to be a part of the 6th championship. Well, we'll let Caleb throw the hat on, get official here. Nothing makes you feel rehydrated like some champagne there. All right, Caleb, man, quite simply, number 6.
Yeah, it's a good year. I mean, started off really well at the beginning of the season and was able to click off a lot of wins. And yes, I mean, it's just one of those things. I rode really good at the beginning of the year, and I had a little bit of misfortune there this summer, and I kind of dinged myself up, but it played a big role in last week, or a couple weeks ago, and then today, and I was able to keep it on 2 wheels, and that was, I had a couple mistakes, and but I didn't really hit the ground hard, so I was able to, just stay right there. I wasn't even really trying to win at the beginning of the race, then I got in the lead there, 2 to go, and I felt pretty good still, so I kind of went for it, and then I took a bonehead line on the last lap and dumped it over in a little mud hole, and Thad got around me, and I just kind of cruised her in for second and wrapped this thing up, and yeah, it's been a good year.
It's been a good year, man. We'll put this one in perspective. You've got 6. Where does this one fall into those 6?
They're all pretty special, really. I mean, they've all had their ups and downs and challenges, and this is I feel like this year ended up a lot like 2015, and I won't be making it to Ironman. I'm gonna go, and I've got shoulder surgery scheduled now and a couple days now, so we'll get it all taken care of, and hopefully we can come out next year and defend it again.
There you go, Caleb Russell, 6-time GNCC champion.
Wow, so, I guess the shoulder injury plaguing him a little bit more. That's something that he didn't talk a lot about, but obviously we knew something has been plaguing Caleb the last couple of races. It just didn't seem like the normal Caleb style of racing that we're used to seeing, but wow, he did it. He got championship number 6 out of the way. And what about Grant Baylor back there, man? He looks like old Grizzly Adams. I've come up with a new nickname. I hope it sticks. Grizzly Grant Baylor. He gets 3rd place in class. He will take 4th place overall whenever we see the overall time adjustment. So congratulations to him on a great ride today and a good push there late in the race. But Caleb Russell, as we said, 2nd place. Thad Duval, the man of the hour as far as the race was concerned here today, is he, wow, back to what we were talking about right there from the start. He and Caleb got together. He went down. Caleb got the whole shot, and he was dead last right from the get-go. They got on the track, and you noted that it wasn't long then whenever you saw him come through, all of a sudden there was no Caleb Russell, where he was real far back in the pack. Well, story I got, Caleb got stuck in a mud hole. Everybody got by, including Thad Duvall, who sat for several seconds after everyone had taken off into the woods and was still able to get by. And amazingly, the rider Duvall worked his way into number 1 position and went back and forth to claim that win here today, and one that he was certainly deserving of for sure. As we head down to Mikey Wayne's with our winner.
Well, thanks, Ronnie, down here. Well, Thad Duvall, man, 2 in a row right here.
Yeah, May won the battle, but I didn't win the war for sure. But it was a good day. Man, the start was bad, really bad, and I got to make sure I was okay for a second. It kind of knocked the air out of me, and just got up really mad and just took off. So I just apologized to all the pros. I didn't make too many friends the first lap trying to get through everybody, and just I know I needed to get to the front quick. And then I seen Caleb stuck on the hill climb, so I kind of calmed down a little bit, and I know Stu had a pretty good lead, and I just kind of rode my own race and was able to catch him. And then then I looked back and Caleb was with me, so we got around Stu and just kind of had our own race there for a while, and it was fun, man. We were back and forth, and it was tough to get away from the rider because there were so many lappers, I think, and just the last lap he made a big mistake, the 8-mile marker, and went down, and then I just put my head down and charged as hard as I could the last couple miles, and was able to get a little cushion and cruise into the pits for another win. But bummed about the championship, but at the end of the day, we're winning races, so that's what my job's pushed up, to win races. So we'll try to get another one in Ironman and get back to this championship next year. I'm super excited to be on the new Huskies. The new Huskies are awesome, so I'm ready to maybe show up to Indiana on a 450 and try it out. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, Thad. Hey, go have a baby and go win Ironman.
Yeah, for sure. I go have a baby Tuesday and then go racing the following week. So we'll be a fun couple weeks.
There you go. Thad Duvall, first place today here at Powerline
All righty,
Park.
so, wow, those next couple of weeks are going to be huge. Congratulations to you, Thad, and, again, everyone involved. Ben Kelly as well. What an amazing ride for him today, leading the overall for more than half the race on adjusted time today, and then one little mishap on lap number 4 took him back into another heated battle with his teammate and, of course, classmate, and they were going back and forth, back to each other, and finally he was able to get around him. Grant Baylor was running in that number 3 position overall, but time adjustment won out for Ben Kelly because he really put the hammer down and made things happen to take that 3rd place position. So congratulations to him for that, and congratulations to Grant too, because he had to push from way back in the pack. If you remember on lap 1, he was back about 7th, 8th, 9th place, somewhere in that neighborhood, and he just methodically worked his way in up through the pack into position to grab that 3rd physical position on the racetrack, going by a lot of stiff talent today and digging deep and pushing through, I'm sure, quite a bit of his own personal adversity out there on that racetrack. So a lot of great things being recognized here today as far as this race is concerned, as it was a couple of weeks ago at the Mason-Dixon GNCC. As we continue to watch riders check in, we've got Duvall and Russell. Kelly is 3rd, Grant Baylor in 4th, Josh Toth in 5th. Stu Baylor does check in 6th overall. That would put him in 4th in the class. Josh Strang would be 5th in class, 7th place overall. Trevor Bollinger, 739 in 8th place. Jordan Ashburn, the number 12, is 9th, and Craig DeLong rounds out the top 10. That's after 6 laps complete there. DeLong is your 3rd place position finisher in the XC2 250 Pro class. We see Ricky Russell is checked in now. 11th place overall, puts him about 7th, I think, in the XC1 Pro class. Looking for Lane Michael, Mike Witkowski, Andrew DeLong, and Liam Draper to be checking in here soon. And remember the name Bradley Cox that Mark Hyde was talking about, his father winning the Erzberg Enduro and the very first one, and they're coming over here from South Africa. Well, Bradley checks in as well. He, I believe, finished 5th in the XC2 250 Pro class, and that might be a good signal and an indication that we might be seeing more of Bradley. Actually, 6th place behind Liam Draper. who got around him, it looks like, on that last lap. But Bradley Cox is certainly showing some real steam here in the GNCC Racing Nation and Racing World. Now down to third place in the XC1 Pro class with Grizzly Grant Baylor and Mikey Waynes.
All right, third place, you said it, in the XC1. He just called you Grizzly Grant Baylor. How do you feel about this, man?
Oh, that's all right, man. I had a good enough day to where nothing's really going to upset me.
Hey, you know what? That sums it up, man. Well, Grant, talk to us about this third place finish. I mean, you were charging hard through there in the end. I watched you and Stu come through those pits. I thought, oh man, this is the battle is on between the Baylor brothers.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it was a little slow start. First straightaway there. You know, when Thad and Caleb got together, I had to back it off really bad, and you know, I had a good jump before that, and then once Thad went down in front of me, I had to lock him up, and I was dead last. You know, going in the woods. So from a bad start there, and then, you know, I started working my way past some guys, and got past about 4 or 5 guys, and then here you go, get laid out by one of the pro riders, and so you know, everybody was just out there just acting like idiots the first lap, and you know, I was just trying to get through it, and then after that, I found myself out there, you know, alone. I rode with Toth for a while there. Most of the race I was with Josh, and back and forth with him, and really, I mean, it was just that first lap, the first 2 laps there, it really messed me up. And after that, I was able to kind of get on my own groove and, you know, get away from those guys and put my head down in charge. And after that, you know, I just felt like I was just kind of riding my own race, and I felt really good all day.
There you go. Grant Baylor, congratulations, man. Good work. Grant Baylor, third today in the XC1.
I'll tell you what, I may call him Grizzly Grant because he looks like Grizzly Adams, but he rides like a bear too. And that's the last hour. He is a real bear of a competitor. So what a great young man, and good to see him making some great strides here toward the end of the season. That's good indication that hopefully the start of next season is going to be a great one for him, and we've been looking for that. And to see both Grant and Stu, if they can both start out strong next year and see them become possible contenders in that championship battle with Caleb and Thad and anyone else who throws their hat in the ring in that one, is going to be pretty exciting, I know. So, wow, what a great day today. What a great story that has been told. The drama that unfolded throughout the course of this race, the amazing things that people were able to come back from. Thad Duvall in particular, that he went down so hard. The bike, he had to crank the bike for a while before it would fire back up. Had to readjust the levers on that bike, and I mean, nearly took him out. I mean, that could have been something that took him out completely out for the day as far as that goes. But man, he turned things around, and that's the true heart of a GNCC racer. The mud guts and glory of it all is still runs deep here in the GNCC Racing Nation and our competitors, no doubt about it. Yep, the Powerline Park GNCC, I tell you folks, for 2018 has been a spectacular one, and certainly hope we get to come back here in 2019, but wherever we end up, I know Ohio was certainly treated us well here in St. Clairsville, Ohio. There's a look at your top 10 here in the Powerline Park GNCC. Again, Duvall, Russell, Ben Kelly, Grant Baylor, Josh Toth, Stu Baylor, Josh Strang in 7th, Trevor Bollinger 8th, Jordan Ashburn 9th, and Craig DeLong, again, 3rd in the XC2 250 Pro class, rounded out your top 10. We'll be heading back down, I believe, with Mikey Waynes here in a moment to talk to Ben Kelly, if I'm not mistaken. No more interviews. All right, so we'll catch them on. Okay. All right, so I guess Ben got in a hurry to get over to the podium for the podium interview, so we're going to go ahead and split out of this one right now. And I just got to tell you, folks, 2 weeks, Crawfordsville, Indiana. Be there, be square, my friends, because that's when things are really going to go down. Don't forget Friday night, Saturday night concerts, as well as all the great hoopla that goes with the Ironman GNCC itself. And that'll wrap things up here from St. Clairsville in the Powerline Park. On behalf of Mikey Waynes, Johnny Gallagher, and special thanks to in-studio guest today, of course, the king of the Blackwater himself, Mark Hyde. I'm Rodney Tomlin. Have a great day, everybody.